you really love me, come on and let it show.
Are you thinking the same thing I'm thinking this morning? What is that kind of music? This is what here's the thing, okay? Let me just tell you what the thing is as we get underway on this Thursday, the 4th of June. In 1994, that's the sort of thing that passed as a number one hit, and it stayed at number one for 15 weeks. In case you can't tell, it's not exactly my cup of tea. But hey, a 15-week run at number one for Wet, Wet, Wet. The song is called Love Is All Around. And perhaps one of the reasons that it spent 15 weeks at number one is because it came from the movie 4 Weddings and a Funeral, which was a wildly popular movie, wasn't it? I'll take movies I haven't seen for 400, Ken. For the first time ever, I think I've not said Alex in this regard. It will always be Alex Trebek to me. But of all the movies I've seen, and I don't know if I'd go so far as to call myself a movie buff, but I certainly enjoy the cinema. And I've never seen 4 Weddings and a Funeral, which maybe is the reason I can't really get behind Love Is All Around from the film. But Wet, Wet, Wet was at number one for 15 weeks on the UK singles charts with that song. It was written originally by Reg Presley of the Troggs, and it was a top 10 hit for the Troggs back in the 60s. So almost 30 years later, it becomes a number one again. And according to Reg Presley himself, he wrote the song in about 10 minutes. It was inspired by a TV broadcast of the Salvation Army band Joy Strings performing an evangelical song called Love That's All Around. So there you go. It was a Salvation Army evangelical song that becomes a top 10 hit for the Troggs and a number one smash for Wet, Wet, Wet on this day in 1994. Good Thursday morning. So glad you have made the time to stop by and engage in some conversation with us. You know, the minute we begin our show every day, phone lines are open to you at 519-570-2545. Star 570 and 1-800-570-5715. If you are joining us on Rogers TV today, thank you also for that. You will notice that I am decked out in a Farwell for Hire t-shirt. Get used to it. I hope you don't get sick of it. We are officially launching the 13th annual Farwell for Hire fundraising campaign tonight. Yes, our 50-50 raffle has already begun, and that is underway. But the campaign gets underway officially with our launch party tonight at Block 3 in St. Jacobs. We're going to have food. We're going to have music, and we're going to have you there if you want to join us. It's just $25. You get the food and the music for $25. And yes, Block 3 has once again brewed Face for Radio IPA. That's right, because if you know, you know. And this guy right here has a face for radio. So that's the name of the beer that Block 3 brews on our behalf, and a portion of the sales is donated to cystic fibrosis research. You see how that works? Block 3 was actually our original corporate/business partner here in the community. They were the first business that stepped up and said, hey, you know what? Why don't we do this? Brew this beer specially for the campaign and donate a portion of the proceeds to cystic fibrosis research. And heck yeah. So I think this is the 9th year, maybe the 10th now that they've been doing this. And we've got lots of other businesses on board as well that you will hear about as we go through the month. But please understand, even if you get tired of the t-shirt that I'm wearing, it's not the same t-shirt every day. I have lots of these things, like lots. So it's a different t-shirt. I do shower. I do wear clean clothes. It's just the same shirt now every day for the rest of the month of June, just so you're aware. Real quick, and then I'm going to get to the phones because, as I mentioned, they open the minute we begin the show every day. But I couldn't help but, well, see, my late great friend Don Cameron always used to say, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. So I laughed this morning when I was listening to All News Mornings with Christine Clark and Mark Douglas, and they told us that according to the CAA's Worst Roads campaign, Ira Needles Boulevard in Kitchener/Waterloo is the worst road in the region. And it's not just that, look, you're not going to get a disagreement from me, okay? But I just want to remind you of the history of what is basically a corduroy road through Waterloo right now. And by that I mean it's just so chock full of potholes, right? It's one of the most annoying, and don't even get me started with all the ding-dang roundabouts. Enough already. But I've never liked the road. I have the pleasure, he says in air quotes, of driving it every day. But it's not just the condition of the road. This is why I had to laugh lest I cried on my way to work this morning, because Ira Needles Boulevard is an example of what shakes our faith in the people making decisions. Like the money that has been spent, it's the gift that keeps on giving to municipal taxpayers, Ira Needles Boulevard. Remember when it was first being built. And yes, this was before this beautiful boardwalk area where we broadcast from today had yet been built up, but we knew what the plans were for this part of the community, right? So they're planning Ira Needles Boulevard to service this part of the community. And they're planning to make it only 2 lanes wide, 1 lane in each direction. And somebody with some sense suggested, we might want to think, because we know what the future of this area holds. We might want to make this a wider, larger arterial road. Let's make it 4 lanes, 2 in each direction right now, because at some point we're going to have to expand it anyway. No, says Regional Council. We just need 1 lane in each direction on Ira Needles. Okay. And then they built it into the plan, and then at some point down the road, they would expand it. Well, of course, that expansion, shockingly, was required sooner than expected. So we underbuild it to start. Then we have to advance the timeline at great cost to us to expand it. We're talking millions and millions of dollars. All we had to do was build the ding-dang thing 4 lanes wide from the get-go. But we didn't. So then we have to accelerate the timeline for expansion. We take on millions more in costs because we didn't listen to the sensible person initially who said, we're going to need 4 lanes anyway. Let's just build it this way to start. We didn't. So we spend extra money to accelerate the timeline for expansion. And then we have a road that, even though it's expanded, cannot stay smooth. No matter what we do. It's a corduroy road out there. You might as well be driving on timber. It's the bane of my existence. Driving it every day, I just think about how poorly planned it was and how much money the people we elected wasted. It's our money, and they whizzed it away by very poorly planning this road. It's very frustrating for me. And there you go. I've got that out of my system. Let's get to the phones now. Doug is waiting. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Michael. So there you go. So I laugh.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't laugh, Douglas, you'll cry.
Well, I'll tell you something. You may have a face for radio, but, in my mind's eye, when I see you with a smile. And your smile says it all. So that's one thing I wanted to say. By the way, I wanted to give you a shout this morning. I saw something on Facebook yesterday, and I guess I wondered, one of you listeners yesterday talked about, it'd be great if they could repeat next year since it's being held in Guelph for the Memorial Cup. Who all do the Rangers lose? I know Bill and Edwards is gone, and Donofsky's gone. There's somebody else besides that for sure.
Jack Pridham is also an overage player, so he is graduated. So yes, Matt Andonovsky, Dylan Edwards, Jack Pridham will not return to the Kitchener Rangers because they're too old now.
Yeah, and they figured that Sam O'Reilly's likely going to wind up not being back because he's just going to advance.
Yes, Sam O'Reilly is very likely to play in the National Hockey League next year, if you were to ask me.
Yeah. I wondered about that. Okay, and by the way, I was very proud to get an early bird email with regards to the Farwell for hire for the 50-50 draw, and I took advantage of it right away.
Attaboy.
I'll be getting more as we go along, and you could run Farwell for hire any time, Mike. I think you underestimate yourself. Where you did it, how you do it, people are going to respond right away because of what it's about, what it's for, and the person who's running it. So you have a great day, and more power to Farwell for hire.
Thank you, Doug. I do appreciate that. It is that time where I will be really aggressively bothering you / reminding you of what is going on fundraising-wise for this cause that is so near and dear to my heart. The 50-50 raffle currently has a jackpot of more than $38,000, which means your take-home prize is more than $19,000. And listen, tomorrow at noon, we are making our first early bird draw for $2,500. That doesn't come out of the jackpot. That is just a $2,500 cash gift to you from our friends at TLC Pet Food. So obviously, our friends at TLC Pet Food would like to incentivize you to get your tickets and get your tickets early in the Farwell for Hire 50-50. Because if you have those tickets before tomorrow at noon, you're eligible for that $2,500 cash prize. And you can win the cash prize, the early bird prize from TLC Pet Food tomorrow, and you're still in the draw for the big jackpot, which will grow and grow and grow right through the entire month. So I would encourage you to go to cf5050.ca, buy a ticket, buy it before tomorrow at noon so you have a chance for that $2,500. And hey, the jackpot, as I said, already over $38,000. That means your prize, the take-home prize, more than $19,000. That is not a bad amount. I would like it, though, if I'm being honest with you, and I know somebody else would like it too, if that take-home prize got higher, because it is not until that take-home prize reaches $35,000, so we're about halfway there, or the jackpot reaches $70,000. It is not until that point that I am allowed to eat another butter tart. And you know how much I love my butter tarts, right? In fact, the Sweet and Savory Pie Company in Uptown Waterloo and in the Blackstone Plaza there at Bridge and Northfield, those are their two locations, but they are selling butter tarts on behalf of our campaign. Every dozen butter tarts you buy this month from Sweet and Savory Pie Company gets a $2 donation to the Farwell for Hire fundraising campaign in support of cystic fibrosis research. And these are my most favorite butter tarts. And I can't have one until the jackpot reaches $70,000 or the take-home prize reaches $35,000. And it is at that same time, by the way, when we get that take-home prize to $35,000 in the Farwell for Hire 50-50, that we allow Kyle back onto the radio. Kyle broke the rule, the only rule that exists on this show, which is thou shalt not name the team that shall not be named. And Kyle named it multiple times while I was away. He knew he was breaking the rules, and he has been punished accordingly. Kyle is in the penalty box until our Farwell for Hire 50-50 jackpot is $70,000. Take-home prize, $35,000. So Kyle stays in the penalty box. I don't get to eat butter tarts. I think this is pretty generous of me, quite frankly. I'm suffering with him. I should have actually made him suffer all by himself. But listen, to get Kyle out of the penalty box, to allow me to eat a delicious butter tart, we have to get that take-home prize up to $35,000. Again, buy your tickets at cf5050.ca. Buy them before tomorrow at noon, and you are eligible for that first early bird prize of $2,500 in cash from TLC Pet Food in New Hamburg.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
All right, let's get to your Farwell Show 5 for this Thursday morning, the 4th of June. Number 1, get ready for 2 of the region's tallest towers. Kitchener's Planning Committee approved the proposal this week, which will see the towers rise at the corner of Charles and Borden. That's across Charles from the Tim Hortons.
The site is proposed to be redeveloped with a mixed-use development containing 2 towers of 51 and 57 stories in height. A 13-story building base, or podium, connects the towers and contains structured parking, institutional floor space, and ground floor commercial space. A total of 1,224 dwelling units are proposed. A total of 593 parking spaces are proposed within 1 level of underground parking and 8 levels of above-grade structured parking within the building's podium.
The development would have the Borden LRT stop directly out front, of course, and now that the development has been approved at committee, Council is expected to give its approval at an upcoming meeting. 51 and 57 stories. Them's some tall towers, more than 1,200 units of housing. Number 2 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, the proposal for Guelph's tallest new building is headed back to council next week. If approved, the 24-story building on Fountain Street would contain 415 purpose-built rental units targeted towards students, along with 5 stacked townhouses. The building would have 93 parking spaces within underground parking and a total of 319 long and short-term bicycle parking spaces. What is a short-term bike? Like, I don't understand. It's a bicycle parking space, but you can only have it for a limited time? Do they have a timer? Is it like an egg timer? Is it like a board game where you have to hit the timer? And anyway, long and short-term bicycle parking spaces. But more to the point, how about this? Guelph's tallest new building proposed at 24 stories. And then Kitchener says, hold my beer. We've got 51 and 57 stories planned in the city of Kitchener. Number 3 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, the University of Waterloo has the highest faculty salaries in Canada. According to Statistics Canada, the median salary for faculty at UW is $198,125 per year. That leads the University of British Columbia at $198,000 annually, and Queen's University at $197,050. Now, several major universities, including the Universities of Toronto, McMaster, Western, and the University of Windsor, were not included in the data. I don't know why. At Wilfrid Laurier University, faculty earns a median salary of $176,325, or about $22,000 less than faculty at the University of Waterloo. Number 4, Prime Minister Mark Carney is expected to announce the federal government's strategy on artificial intelligence today. He'll be in Toronto, slated to tour an artificial intelligence institute and meet with researchers as he unfurls the blueprint. Artificial Intelligence Minister Evan Solomon has said the government's new strategy will look to build trust in AI, empower workers, and help build Canada. 2 things. One is these data centers that power artificial intelligence use an awful lot of water, an awful lot of resources. I have heard multiple environmental concerns. But more to the point, do you know what kind of intelligence I prefer? The real kind. I don't want no artificial intelligence. Come on with your coming on. And number 5, on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, the Ontario government says it will show flexibility regarding work arrangements for public service employees in Toronto during the FIFA World Cup. Finance Minister Peter Bethlen-Falvey confirmed yesterday there will be accommodations during the International Soccer Tournament, which lands in Toronto next week. However, Minister Bethlen-Falvey did not specify what that flexibility will look like. Perhaps it allows some different hours or some grace because you won't be able to drive anywhere in Toronto. Or maybe they just figure this is a once-in-a-lifetime event, so who cares if you come to work on a random Tuesday or something, right? Because it's once in a lifetime. And who needs to go to work anyway?
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
I mean, we wonder why we have a productivity problem. What do you mean I have to work? There's a soccer match going on down at BMO Field. That is your Farwell Show 5 for this Thursday morning. We'll take a break. Come back with your morning wake-up call here on the Mike Farwell Show. Either you can make it or I will. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. It is that time of the morning we set aside for your morning wake-up call. Either you can make it or I will. And Durham John, our good friend from beautiful Grey County, is on the phone. John, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Top shelf, my friend. Thank you. How are you?
Good. I just wanted to say congratulations, Rangers. And I wanted to comment on fuel prices.
Bring it on.
You and I are similar. We like to ride our motorcycles, and we like to drink beer.
Absolutely true.
Gas is still cheaper than beer, and neither one of us are going to switch to water.
So your point is we just accept the pain at the pumps and move on?
You got that right, buddy.
All right, my man. All right. Appreciate the call and the perspective.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, John. Good to hear from you. You know, who was it that was just saying, because we had the story this morning on All News Mornings with Christine Clark and Mark Douglas about Counterpoint Brewing in Kitchener after 7 years closing, one of numerous craft brewers in the region. And look, beer is discretionary in and of itself, craft beer even more so. So what you're looking into is people's discretionary incomes and when they're starting to cut corners because things are expensive. But John is basically saying, look, when it comes to my motorcycle too, it's premium fuel that goes in there. I enjoy my premium beers and I enjoy my bike enjoys its premium fuel. But these are the things that we do unless we decide that they become too expensive. But it's definitely discretionary income. John says just grin and bear it when it comes to those prices at the pumps. Got an email here from Suzanne. I'm glad she sent it this morning because she's making her request for All Request Friday. That's tomorrow, by the way. Our theme, if you had not yet heard, is championships, winning, because the Kitchener Rangers just did that. So I suspect we'll hear some We Are the Champions along the way. But Suzanne says she wants to hear The Winner Takes It All by ABBA. I don't think you like ABBA, Suzanne, right? So just take your headphones off. I don't like ABBA, Suzanne, but it's your request. And that's what we do on All Request Fridays. We play 59 seconds of your favorite song. Can't play more than a minute. So if you have a song that fits the theme of champions, winning, whatever it happens to be, send me an email, mike@570news.com, or just call and let Dev on the other side of the glass know what song you would like to hear on All Request Friday. Tomorrow, the theme is championships, winning. You'll find a song that fits that theme. I'm going to get you to the 570 News Center for an update, and then let's talk about red lights and no longer being able to make right turns when you are facing a red light. What do you think of the idea? This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. As I am sure you heard on 570 News Radio yesterday, Regional Council has approved a pilot project that will see a dozen intersections around the region posted with no right turn on red light signs. It was a motion crafted by Regional Councillor Colleen James, seconded by Councillor Jim Erb, and passing through Council this week. Councillor Colleen James joins us to talk more about it. Colleen, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. You must be well. You got your Rangers win.
Oh, my gosh. Did I get a Rangers win or what? Oh, my gosh. Yes, I still don't think I've come down from that high, Colleen. What?
You were the first person I thought about when I heard the news. I'm like, yep, Mike is in his glory today.
Well, thank you for thinking of me in that way. It really was something special to see happen and to be a part of in some small way. Great for the team, great for the city for sure.
Absolutely. All right, no rights on reds. Let's have a discussion.
Let's do it. Why do we want to ban the right-hand turn? What's the idea here?
So the idea is really about what can we do to, again, just address some of the safety around some of those major intersections? Not a blanket, absolutely not. But my ask was for staff to look into kind of if there are intersections that we've seen high collisions or where there's, high pedestrians, to look into the potential. And that's what they came back with, and a pilot. So this is not permanent, and it is just, let's collect the data, which we have already with collision rates. And, unfortunately, there was an accident a few days ago, a block from where one of these will be piloted. So, I mean, there's no harm, no foul in at least piloting something to see, can we reduce some of those conflicts in pedestrian and driver collisions?
So in looking at the report, Colleen, and under the appendix, looking at the rationale for the right turn on red prohibition, one of the intersections, the one that actually showed the most collisions, was Fairway Road at Wilson Avenue. Over a 5-year period, 4 collisions with right turns. Statistically speaking, if we consider all of the interactions at that intersection over 5 years, just 4 collisions. I mean, what makes this such a high priority then?
So I look at that, I think those are collisions, but how many near misses or how many that, weren't resulted in a call? I think, the fact that there's even one, we should be concerned about, because we don't know, that could mean life or death. And we know that some of those intersections have high pedestrian, high driver. We look at the ones in Waterloo by the university, even that Wilson and Fairway, you've got high density there. You've got a lot of traffic. You've got ion. I'd rather see none, and as opposed to 1, 2, 3, or 4. I think that's, if we can avoid it, let's avoid it altogether.
One of the other things that occurs to me when I read the report is this talks about pedestrian collisions with right turns, but it doesn't specify what color the traffic signal was when the right turn was being made. And so I just wonder, when I'm at a red light and I want to turn right, there should not be anybody in that crosswalk. Otherwise, they're crossing into traffic, right? So do we know what color the traffic signal was, right, green or red?
Absolutely. I think we need to, that's the deep dive. But the fortunate thing is we do have MyoVision that we partnered with, and they have, they're collecting the data for us. So I think some of those, after that 1 year, those answers will come, and we can get more and be more informed. And as we said at council, Mike, if this is not working, staff at any point in time can pull it and say, okay, you know what, we're going to take this down and we're not going to pilot it at whatever location. So there's flexibility with this, and that's what I want. I think we can't make informed decisions without having the information, and this is what this is about.
To that end, Colleen, when you talked about the meeting, for those that may not have seen it, the ability, the flexibility that's embedded in this to make changes if it's quote unquote not working. What might be a reason we decide it's not working? Like I heard transit talked about, I heard increased congestion talked about, et cetera.
Yeah, and that is exactly it. If staff in their report presented kind of what those delays might look like, be it 10 seconds or 20 seconds. But if we're seeing this is causing significant amount of congestion, I think that's a reason potentially to say, okay, let's stop it here. Same with transit delays, because that has come up as well. How will this delay transit? And we know that is something to consider. But what I will say is that it is not throughout all intersections, but, we need to at least identify if this can, remove any of the collisions or the incidents that happen or potential that could happen.
How do we measure success here? After we do the pilot project for a year, what does success look like?
I think success looks like, first of all, no collisions, especially at some of those that have had a few over the number of years. And I think the other thing, too, is really looking at pedestrian, driver, trends and reporting back, because maybe it's not a permanent no right turn on red. Maybe we have to come back and say we need longer walk times, or there needs to be an adjustment in the signaling that's happening there. So I think, success to me will look like, how do we make it more effective in how people are moving across intersections more effective. And there could be a number of ways to do this.
How many, we know there's going to be the dozen, but one of the other things that just popped into my head, and I heard this referenced at the meeting, we're not implementing this overnight, but in the next several months, how is this going to be implemented?
So it'll run starting from September for 1 year, and staff will report back. I think, it is, again, the identified intersections that have been given. I've heard from many residents, I think there's the Fairway Lackner is another one as well. You've got the school right there. There's a whole bunch of different factors here, but it'll start in September, Mike, and we'll see. And like you said, it's fluid. So if something needs to change throughout, we can do that. And I think, that's the best way to approach this.
Colleen, I appreciate the time on the show this morning. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Mike. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Colleen James is a regional councillor representing Kitchener. It was her motion, seconded by Waterloo Regional Councillor Jim Erb, or Regional Councillor for Waterloo. I think I should use the language that way. But anyway, seconded by Councillor Erb and passed through council. I talked about this yesterday. I will just say again, I would not have voted in favor of this. And I know that makes me sound like a big fat jerk. And I'm sorry if it does, but when I look at this from a data perspective, and again, I will just use Fairway and Wilson, this is right from the report. Now, remember also, we've asked staff at the region to spend the time preparing this report. So there's a cost associated with that. And then the data comes back and it tells us that over a 5-year period, the intersection that will have a ban on right turns on red lights that had the most collisions with pedestrians was Fairway and Wilson. There were 4 such collisions over 5 years. If you think about the sheer number of crossings for both vehicles and people at Fairway and Wilson over a 5-year period, that there were 4 collisions involving pedestrians and drivers is statistically insignificant. And I know I'm talking about a person, and I do understand the argument. We want 0. But 4 out of, honestly, we got to be into the hundreds of thousands of crossings at the intersection, if not more. I would love to know, and do we have that kind of data? I bet you we do. Traffic volume, right? Anyway, to me, it is an inconsequential number. I know when somebody is injured or, heaven forbid, worse, it's not inconsequential to them. But I feel like we're chasing something, quite frankly, that is impossible here. We're trying to fix stupid, as the T-shirt says, and you can't do it. You just can't. There are mistakes that are going to be made by people driving vehicles, by people walking or biking on our roads. And this number, 4 collisions over 5 years at an intersection that sees hundreds of thousands of crossings, is just taking into account the human error that will always exist. I think there have got to be bigger fish to fry on our roads. That's me. That's why I would not vote for it. Look, is it costly? No, about $21,000 to implement this. I don't know that they've factored in the time spent doing the report. Whatever. I would advocate for the people who work for our municipal governments, both at the city and township level and at the regional level, to spend their time on what I would describe as more meaningful causes. Surely there are dangerous roads based on number of collisions, severity of collisions, etc., that we could be focused on. That's what I would like to see when I look at the data. Again, You can call me a big fat jerk. I accept that, but I'm just going strictly by the numbers that I see here. If I can't turn right at a red light, do I care? Not really. I really don't care. But the other missing piece of this data is what color was the light when this collision occurred? Because if I'm sitting at a red light and I want to turn right, there should be nobody in that crosswalk. Nobody should be there unless they're doing something wrong, right? Okay, I always want to hear from you on these things. What do you think of the idea of banning right turns on red lights? 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. Ian is with us. Good morning, Ian.
Good morning, Mike. I'm going to be a big fat jerk today. This is the same lady that when we had the speed cameras in school zones and she was arguing for that in an area that had 0% of incidents. And I remember very distinctly you calling her out on this. But, we have to be proactive for 0% of incidents. This lady did not go to school for math whatsoever. And hearing such dismal number in 5 years, I'm sorry. If you checked into those actual incidents, was it, somebody just got distracted by accident? I'm sorry. This is absolutely ridiculous that we are wasting our time, our tax dollars, and all of this stuff. And also, just to point out, on Water and Charles Street, you can't turn right because of the LRT traffic that's there. The tracks go across. But funny enough, on the corner of Francis and Charles, you can turn right. So what is it? And on top of all of this, just hearing this morning, which makes me cringe, you're saying that we have 51 and 57-story towers now going on Charles and Borden. Our skyline is completely ruined. The intensification of this city is ridiculous. And you know what? There's no point of worrying about right-hand turns because everybody's going to be stuck in traffic anyways with all the people they're bringing in here. The city and the region, they've gone absolutely bonkers with junk. And we have, the 30, 40 people with the homeless aspect. We can't even take care of that, for crying out loud. And we're worried about turning right at a red light, whether you can or not. I'm sorry, but this just infuriates me. It should infuriate every other taxpayer. And I hope when the elections come that it's not a 20% turnout, it's a 90% turnout, and we get a lot of this, garbage out of the politics. Thanks, Mike.
All right, Ian, I'm glad you had a chance to vent. Look, I do think we can walk and chew gum at the same time. And I think dealing with traffic safety issues is different than dealing with the homeless issue, but I think we can work on those issues simultaneously. But Ian made me think of something else when he mentioned the inability to turn right off of Water onto Joseph because of LRT traffic. Was that the one? Either way. This is something else that occurred to me in looking at this. Again, according right from the regional report, 4 collisions between pedestrians and drivers at Fairway and Wilson over 5 years. And so I look at that and I just think statistically, no disrespect to the human beings involved, but this is statistically insignificant. Meantime, how about the 74 collisions last year between LRT trains and vehicles? We had 74 of those. Might that be an area where we invest some time in? I mean, we're not going to take the trains away. We know that. But do you see where I'm coming from here? 4 collisions over 5 years. And this is an identified priority now versus 74 collisions in 1 year, or about, what are we talking here? 6 a month? 4 over 5 years, or 6 per month. And we're worried about the 4 over 5 years. I'm just trying to wrap my head around the numbers is all. We'll take more of your calls after this. What do you think of the idea of no longer turning right on red lights at a dozen intersections in this region? This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
We know that some of those intersections have high pedestrian, high driver. We look at the ones in Waterloo by the university. Even that Wilson and Fairway, you've got high density there. You've got a lot of traffic. You've got ion. I'd rather see none as opposed to 1, 2, 3, or 4. I think that if we can avoid it, let's avoid it altogether.
I love the sentiment. I truly do. But I think when we apply this Vision Zero concept, no collisions, we're chasing ghosts. Because human beings are prone to error. And the most collision-prone intersection that will now have a ban on right-hand turns on red lights, Fairway and Wilson and Kitchener, had 4 collisions involving pedestrians and drivers over a 5-year period. That, to me, is statistically insignificant. Brian sends an email to Mike at 570news.com. How many of those 4 pedestrians were on their phone? It's a common complaint. I get it. And, you know, with only 4 to look at, I'm sure we could get the answer to that. And I think it's a fair question to ask. Let's get to the phones, hear more from you. Richard, what do you think about banning right turns on red lights?
Oh, another crazy idea from our regional council. Oh, my goodness, Mike, you are exactly right on. Let's take that $21,000 and all that staff time and concentrate on something way more important. I emphasize if you were one of the 4 involved in one of those incidents, and you're right there, it's not insignificant for them. But 11 more that don't have 4, how many incidents are at those intersections? Like, this is just craziness. I have an opinion, I'll just keep to myself, but it is just, you can't fix stupid. I personally almost hit a bike. I was making a right turn out of a parking lot, and the bike came down the sidewalk.
Yeah, listen, Richard, I get that stuff, and it's a busy place. We have to keep our heads on swivels at all times now. Jay, good morning. What do you think?
Oh, hi, Mike. First time calling here. I'll be brief. I fully agree with your caller, 2 callers ago, and the one who just called. The data simply doesn't support this. We're trying to find, or council's trying to find a solution for a problem that doesn't exist. And it goes right back to the school speed zones, as you've talked about many times. We need to be concerned a little bit also just about paralyzing traffic flow through the city. And I believe that there's much better things that we should be spending our money on.
All right, Jay, I appreciate that. It does seem like a solution in search of a problem, and maybe then you can check a box and say, we got this done this term of council. I don't know. Clive, good morning.
Mike, welcome home.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
I think it's the data that you're using is incorrect. Okay, the 4 incidents are most likely incidents where police were called and someone was actually injured. You have to remember, when you're making a right turn, most people only look left to see if it's clear that they can go through. They're not looking right, interrupting the people crossing the crosswalk in the direction that they are allowed to cross. So
no, but Clive, if you're turning right on a red, there should be nobody crossing to your right. Nobody.
Not to your right, Mike. In front of you, the person crossing the crosswalk down the street that has the right of way is often overlooked by the driver, who only looks left and doesn't look at the person coming across.
They're not looking in front of them as they're driving a vehicle.
Yeah, Mike,
that's what you're saying. That's what you're telling me. That's what you're claiming.
What I'm saying is that you're stopped at the light. You look left to see if you can go. Most people forget to look right again to see if a pedestrian is now entering that crosswalk.
I got you. And this is the other thing, though. If a pedestrian's entering that crosswalk and they don't recognize that the driver's paying them no regard, you see how many things have to go wrong? But fair point, we're out of time. Got to get to a news update. Hey, did you hear the one about the mayor that interrupted a young person giving a speech at a Pride event in Cambridge? Well, you're going to hear it next on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
This is where today's topics turn into today's talking points. It's local and it's Democratic radio at its finest. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio.
I have faced transphobia and bullying from my peers in school and from adults outside of school. Like when Ward 6 Councillor Adam Cooper shared a transphobic meme. He did not apologize, nor was...
I'm not going to allow you to continue this disrespect. No, can you remove that part from your speech? Because he's already gone through what he needs to go through. I don't think it's helpful. I really don't.
The Mike Farwell Show continues
on 570 News Radio.
I would like you to remove that part from your speech. He's already gone through what he needs to go through. I don't think that's helpful, says Cambridge Mayor Jan Liggett when interrupting Sophie Mills, who was making a presentation, delivering a speech at a Pride event in Cambridge. And when Sophie made reference to Ward 6 councillor in Cambridge, Adam Cooper, you can see in the video, that was audio, not the best audio from a video, but you can see Mayor Liggett get up from her seat in behind Sophie and interrupt mid-speech and say, I don't think that's helpful. I want you to remove that part of your speech. He's already gone through what he needs to go through. Just by way of background, what that is all in reference to is what was widely regarded as a transphobic meme shared by Councillor Cooper on social media, for which he was sanctioned by his council colleagues, and after which, instead of an apology, he had a 14-minute speech that he delivered in council chambers publicly. It's online and streamed and archived like every council meeting is, talking about all of the vitriol he was on the receiving end of after posting said meme. A bit of the background, and now we have the privilege of Sophie Mills joining our show this morning to talk more about this. Sophie, thank you very much for making time. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a real pleasure. I hope I captured fairly enough what happened when you were speaking at that Pride event in Cambridge on the weekend.
Yeah, pretty well. Just another important fact is that I was asked to. They asked me to speak and to talk about what I want changed. So
what was it like for you in that moment when you are, because Mayor Liggett comes from behind you, so like what was your reaction when all of a sudden Mayor Liggett was there asking you to stop your speech?
Not only was it upsetting for me because it was my first big public speaking, and I was super excited about it. But it was also upsetting for, like, it hurt. I did not expect that. I did not expect that she would take the microphone, the voice away from a child that she asked to speak, let alone come up to me when I am being vulnerable, from behind, even more vulnerable. It was scary. It sucked.
I think that's a fair way to sum it up. You were able to continue. I mean, and by saying that, I mean you were able to compose yourself after that interruption and finish what you had intended to say, correct?
No, I wasn't able to finish what I was able to say because she told me to, like, edit the speech there and not include that part anymore. I was able to get part of my message across, but I wasn't able to do the whole speech. But luckily I was able to do the whole speech, unedited, uncensored, at Grand River Pride's own flag raising. Right. So you did follow instructions on the spot and make that edit and then carry on. What I would hope, Sophie, is that, and I should have maybe asked you about this yesterday when we arranged this, because I would love for you to have the chance now to share what you were not allowed to share at that event. Even, paraphrasing, but what was it that you were in the midst of saying when you were cut off? Yeah, I just wanted to bring to light again, like you said, the incident that happened with Ward 6 Councillor Adam Cooper posting a transphobic meme. Like, the background of that was that it's AI generated. It's somebody with the blue hair, and it says something to the likes of, he took my pronouns, so I have to live in reality. And somebody made that in response to Trump's decision to only recognize two genders. Him resharing that and sharing that idea and supporting that, and then how it was dealt with at the council meeting. One of the counselors, Counselor Roberts, she said that I don't think that sensitivity training would be good because he clearly doesn't seem remorseful as he was doing his speech during the council meeting. And I just wanted to bring that up again. They didn't, there was no, he hasn't apologized. And he supposedly got sensitivity training. But yeah, if you do not understand what that is, then what is that going to do for you? And I wanted to bring that up again with my speech, to hopefully revisit it, but also to show people that while Cambridge is doing this pride flag raising, it is performative because he was there. He hasn't apologized, and I don't think that he has gotten reprimand officially enough.
You mentioned at the outset, Sophie, that your speech was intended to share what you would like to see change. What would you like to see change in Cambridge? Yeah, well, specifically pertaining to Councillor Adam Cooper, he needs to apologize. He needs to take accountable for his actions and know that what he posted was extremely harmful. Pronouns, they save lives. It's suicide prevention. I know that as I say in my speech, I've had several suicide attempts. And part of that is because of my gender dysphoria that I faced from outside. People not respecting my pronouns, people saying, I don't do that, people saying, that's weird, I don't believe in that, I don't believe that you exist. That's extremely hurtful. And then for an elected official to post that idea and not apologize is completely ridiculous and disgusting. As we are into Pride Month, and you mentioned you had the opportunity to share your full speech with Grand River Pride at their event. How are you feeling as we start Pride Month, particularly with the climate currently in Cambridge? Yeah, in terms of the official Cambridge, I'm not feeling great, especially since the mayor and Cambridge themselves have not said anything. Other news reports, they haven't, she keeps saying, Jan Liggett keeps saying that she's busy, the mayor. So I'm not feeling good about that, but what I am feeling good about is the community that I have behind me and the community that is behind getting the city to take account for their actions. Councillor Cooper posting a dangerous meme, and the mayor taking away my platform, silencing me and silencing the community. But the community has been behind me. Like you said, I got the chance to finish my speech at Grand River Pride. It was immediately different. There were queer people there, visibly queer people. That always makes me feel safer because I know on some level they understand me. I've gotten so much support on the media and social media from news outlets. They've been asking me. I really appreciate it, being able to get my message out there more. So on the community front, the heart of the city, I feel great, but on the official side, this is a crappy way to start Pride Month. I'm so glad to hear that you have that heart of the city that you are feeling. I think that's so important. And just to emphasize the point again, Sophie, as you've just mentioned, what a crappy way for a city to launch its Pride Month. This, again, was an event that you were a guest at, an invited guest. Yeah. So you used the word performative before. That's the best word I can think of. Was your invitation a performative invitation, do you believe? I mean, yeah, especially since... So I appreciated the platform. Didn't appreciate that being taken away when I said that something they didn't want me to say. I appreciate the platform. I was super excited to share my experience. And I didn't even think that it is performative.
But when I didn't say something that they wanted me to say, when I didn't boast about the city of Cambridge being so awesome, they took that away. So I do think it was performative, especially since if you go to City of Cambridge's social media, they have a reel that they've released of that day. I'm nowhere in there. I was a token speaker, clearly. I wasn't there. I also raised the pride flag. They show the pride flag flying, like once it's up, but they don't show who raised it. I raised it, and I'm not in there. They have erased me. They have censored me from the story. I'm not there anymore.
What has the reaction been like since this video started making the rounds? The video of you being cut off in the midst of your speech?
Yeah, my reaction or everybody else's reaction?
Yeah, everybody else's reaction. Thank you.
Yeah. So far, what I've gotten has been incredible. I've had individuals DM me, direct message me. Family members have reached out saying their support. I'm still in high school, and I'm getting support from lots of my teachers, which is great to have that physical standing for me. There's been big organizations saying their support for me online. Willow River Center, we have there's Spectrum, so many who have posted about it and gotten the message out there more. It has been, so far, it has been an incredible support and a very positive experience to be able to connect with people through my voice.
I am glad to hear that. And I am also glad that you were willing to accept this invitation and have the courage to share what you were unable to share at the event on the weekend. So, Sophie, thank you very much for doing this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You are welcome anytime, and I look forward to the next conversation. Okay, bye-bye.
Awesome, bye.
Bye. Sophie Mills is a member of the Youth Advisory Committee in the city of Cambridge. Sophie was invited, and this is a key, and Sophie did a very good job of emphasizing that. Sophie was invited to speak at the raising of the pride flag in Cambridge on the weekend. And in the midst of their speech, Sophie was interrupted by Mayor Jan Liggett, who got up from the seat in behind Sophie, approached and said, "This is not political. We want to remove that part of your speech." And at the time, Sophie had begun to talk about the challenges presented when Ward 6 councillor in Cambridge, Adam Cooper, shared what many have described as a transphobic meme. I'm struggling to understand what in HE double hockey sticks was going through the mind of the mayor at the time. I can respect, and I will say this much, maybe coming to the defense of a friend. Is that what, if assuming that Adam Cooper is a friend of Mayor Liggett and Mayor Liggett doesn't want to have her friend's name dragged through an issue that the mayor believes has already been dealt with? Sure. But here's the thing. Adam Cooper shared a meme and stood behind it on the grounds of freedom of speech, expression, etc. Went through some sensitivity training for it, did not apologize, had the 14-minute forum at a council meeting to express his views and his concerns, or his what had happened since he shared it. And then months later, here we are, and Sophie wants to share their concerns and their feelings around it and gets cut off. Just strictly from a strategic communications perspective, there's no win in this for Mayor Liggett or the city of Cambridge, cutting off this speech. Just let Sophie share their feelings from it. Adam Cooper got to share his, not only with the meme, but the follow-up. Why is somebody else being censored? Do we believe in free speech? And this would have just been a speech delivered at an event, and we would have moved on. And by the way, good for Sophie for reminding people what did happen during this term of council, because we are into an election year. And listen, some people may be even more ardent supporters of Adam Cooper today, which is totally fine because of the meme that he posted and his response to all of the reaction to it. You can do that. And that might make you want to even more enthusiastically vote for Adam Cooper. And some might not want to. Voters have notoriously short memories, don't we? And so, again, just let it go. Let it go. Sophie has every right to say what they said, just like Adam Cooper had every right to say what he said. That's how it works, right? We'll squeeze in a call before the break. Millie is with us on the phone. Good morning, Millie.
Hi, Mike. Nice to see you back.
Nice to be back.
Okay, well, on that there thing with, I live in Cambridge. I was appalled when I heard that on the TV. I mean, how can a teenager get cut off by a mayor in our city, a mayor that we voted in, and if she's forgot the freedom of speech? Where's our freedom of speech going?
Yeah, you know what, Millie? It's a great question, and this is flat-out censorship. Say what you want about the content, right? This is just flat-out censorship, and it's a big mistake. It's a big own goal. I don't know why. This direction would have been chosen by the mayor of Cambridge. I cannot wrap my head around it. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Oh, I'm running a little bit behind, but it's the perfect time of the show to get the palate cleanser that we all need right now.
Not everyone's a jackwagon. Not every heart is cold. Not every promise made to you is gonna turn to gold and fold. Some people mean it when they say they care. Some folks will show up, actually be there. So don't close the door on every soul you meet. Not everyone's a jackwagon on this street.
I said I'm a little bit behind. Around 10:20. It's 10:20-ish, okay? All right, it's 10:24. I'm a little bit even beyond the ish, but every day on the show, around 10:20, I like to take a moment to remind you that indeed, not everybody is a jackwagon, including 70, and I want to emphasize that, 70-year-old Warren Wiebe, who is a retired teacher, lives in Blind River, not far from Sault Ste. Marie, beautiful part of our province. And Warren's granddaughter, just born, she's only several months old, suffers from a very rare genetic disorder known as FOXG1 syndrome. They noticed that Eloise, the granddaughter, was not meeting developmental milestones. That's how they learned about this rare genetic disorder. And instead of just moping around, Warren Wiebe has decided he's going to take action, and he has decided on 24 hours for Eloise. It's going to be a bike ride along the Great Allegheny Passage beginning in Pittsburgh, and it will be a 24-hour straight bike ride. Why 24 hours? Because Warren says that will honor the dedication, the patience, and the perseverance of children with FOXG1 syndrome and their parents, caregivers, and supporters who stand with them, because for them, it is a 24-hour-a-day, round-the-clock disorder to deal with. So the least that the 70-year-old grandfather can do is ride 165 miles in 24 consecutive hours. Warren, make sure you don't wobble off that bike somewhere around hour number 18. That's a lot to do. But I love the reasons for it. And I appreciate Maria for sending the email to mike@570news.com to let us know about the non-jackwagon that she came across. We're always happy to share the stories that you might know about as well. Again, the email address is mike@570news.com. If you know somebody who is not a jackwagon, let us know, and we will share their story as well. An update from the 570 News Center coming up, and then Thursday morning, just after the 10:30 news, it's time for Living Retired. Gary Chalk joins us next on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Ooka chaka, ooka, ooka, ooka chaka, ooka, ooka, ooka chaka, ooka, ooka, ooka chaka, ooka, ooka. I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me. When you hold me in your arms so tight, you let me know everything's alright. I'm hooked on a feeling.
It must be just after the 10:30 news on a Thursday morning, because that's when we get the feeling of a little bit of laughter through our bones, as we're joined every Thursday after the 10:30 news by our good friend Gary Chalk. Gary writes a humor column called Living Retired. You can find it online, livingretired.press. While you're there, heck, get in touch with Gary and let him know you'd like to have the column delivered to your inbox every week. I do that. I love the chuckle that comes into the inbox. I mean, sometimes I chuckle at the memos that the boss sends too, because if you don't laugh, you'll cry. But Gary's stuff is actually humorous, like deliberately humorous. And when you get in touch with Gary at his website, livingretired.press, you can also invite him to speak as a guest presenter at your service club, your corporate event, whatever it happens to be. He's done retirement parties. He's got a style all his own that we get to hear every Thursday morning at this time. Mr. Chalk, I've missed you while I was away. Good morning.
Hey, I've missed you. Good morning, Mike with a mic. How are you?
I'm doing really well, thank you. How about you?
Just a sec here. Sorry, I've got to put my butter tarts down.
Oh, what? You're going to rub it in like that, eh? Is that how it is, Chalk?
Hey, you've been away so long playing hooky for hockey. It's time for you to get back to work and get your feet in the ground.
I'm Cocoa for Cocoa Puffs, and I'm hooky for hockey. You are absolutely right.
Hey, now that you've returned from out in Kelowna, a beautiful city, I know, I'm confused, Mike. I always, in the past, have opened up our segments, and we're going on 3 years of doing this together now. I always opened up with Good Morning, Mike with a mic, right?
Correct.
Well, after watching that video of you and some of the Rangers out there, and you were asking them, you said, you got a secret, and I don't know whether I should be saying good morning, Mike with a mic, or good morning, Farzy with a phone.
There was a lot of hockey lingo, wasn't there?
There is.
Farzy, just get back to work, the guys told me.
I guess. Anyways, whether it's Mike with a mic or Farzy with a phone, Jan and I are really looking forward tonight. We're going to bump into you at the Farwell for Hire launch out at the Block 3 Brewing Company in St. Jacobs. And if that's not a knife, you're going to get sick of me, because on Sunday we're coming to Barry's Asparagus Farm. My objective is to, more than I did last year, spill more of that asparagus and the sauce all down my shirt. Boy, that's good stuff.
It is. That little aioli they make with that deep fried asparagus. Oh my goodness gracious. You have not lived until you've tried it. So yes, we'll be at Barry's Asparagus on Sunday.
You got it. Hey, do you remember when you bought your first house?
I very much do, yes. It was only about 12 years ago.
Well, I mean, I'm living retired, so Jan and I, we purchased our first house way back in 1977, and that was the pre-Kardashian era, and President Carter was in office, and that plays an integral component. What I'm just going to tell my brief story of buying our first house, because he was the president at the time, and in those days, real estate listings were in the newspaper. You would open it up and you would search through and you'd see all these ads and pictures and homes. And I think probably more so back in those days perhaps than now, people also would sell their homes privately. And there was a house listed. It was in the Brantford Expositor. It said, private house for sale. Jan and I read the little ad and we thought, that may fit the bill for what we're looking for. So I called the number, and the call went like this. The phone rang. The fellow said, hello. I said, I'm calling about your house for sale in the newspaper. There's a pause, Mike, and I heard him turn to his wife and say, dear, is our house for sale? Not a good sign when you're trying to buy private. It's just you and the other homeowner. Apparently, what it turned out to be, he was a draft dodger who came to Canada to avoid going to Vietnam. So the same day that President Carter pardoned the American draft dodgers, his wife and him, who had always planned to go back, she put the ad in the paper, but she forgot to tell him, "Dear, we're selling the house."
It's a minor detail that you might not want to overlook.
Well, I know. We said, well, we'll be there tonight at 8 o'clock, and hung up the phone. I said, Jan, I don't think we're getting into a good situation here. Anyways, so many people living retired have now been living in their home for so many years. How long? Well, long enough to reshingle the roof, repave the driveway, resod the yard, change the furnace, change the AC unit, renovate the kitchen, and change the backsplash 3 times, because it's cheaper than updating the backsplash than just doing the whole kitchen.
Absolutely it is. And that little change sometimes is all you need.
That's all you need. So many baby boomers living retired now are wanting to downsize, and they want to take that extra money and to go on some vacation, which is becoming really unaffordable now because the airlines, they put the price of the tickets up about every half hour. This means you have to find an affordable B&B in a sunny location in a third world country where they don't have B&Bs. So now you got all this money burning in your pocket. Well, before you can say Better Homes and Gardens, homeowners my age, we're arranging for a home inspection. And that's when a person who knows everything about home construction arrives at your home and checks it all out. He gets up to the top of your crumbling chimney, goes down into your leaky basement. And remember those 7 upgrades I just read that you've done over the years? Well, surprise, the home inspection report says, 1, reshingle the roof, because you got to get it in today's colors. 2, repave the driveway, but this time use interlocking brick. 3, resod the yard. Now, there is a proviso here. If you want to keep your dog, you can just install AstroTurf if you wish. But number 4, change the furnace to the latest high-efficiency model. Number 5 is you got to change the AC to get it up to the high-efficiency model. You have to renovate the kitchen with an expensive stovetop and a hood now. And also, number 7, no surprise here, change the backsplash.
Absolutely, of course, yeah.
Everything else fails, change the backsplash.
I like it.
So even with the home inspection report, couples are throwing caution to the wind and throwing good money after bad, and they hire a home stager. You ever had a home stager in your place?
I have had a home stager in my place.
Oh, my gosh. Just so people know, a home stager is a person experienced in telling homeowners how to sell their house by making it look like you haven't lived there.
Well, they're amazing, though, aren't they? It's like some of the details, it blows my mind, Gary.
I know. Right away, the home stager and your wife, they become best friends. This is what I mean. The home stager comes into the house and convinces your wife that your husband must once and for all take down the Christmas lights. Now, half of them are on the eaves troughs, the other half are dangling down towards the ground, and she said, they got to go. And then the home stager, you're paying now, the home stager will join forces with your wife and give an ultimatum to the husband that that inflatable Christmas reindeer display that's flat as a pancake on the front lawn's got to be removed. And for heaven's sakes, don't forget the reindeer's 2 hind legs that are stuck at the porch light. You got to get those out of there as well before he can sell.
But, Gary, it's going to be December again soon, you know.
Well, that's the way I always look at it.
Same.
Christmas lights and decorations still up in June are what trained professional home stagers call a deterrent to selling. You ever heard that terminology?
Deterrent to selling.
Yeah. It's real estate gobbledygook.
I've tried to be a deterrent to selling for neighbors that I really liked. I didn't want them to go away. So I would do all kinds of things when they had open houses, you know.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, another deterrent to selling, aside from all those Christmas lights out there still, is your neighbor's house, like you say. You know, the people who are going to come to consider your house, they come to the open house. Before they even walk in to see your castle, they look at the neighbor's. And if it on the front lawn of your neighbor has a toilet with dead daffodils in it, you either A, got to get them to get rid of it, or plan your open house during the next total lunar eclipse, and that's in December 2028.
I'm glad you looked it up for us.
Yes, that's that. I want to give accurate information. We always want to thank the living retired interns. So, with the outside of your house finally cleaned up, home stager with the clipboard and your wife and the checkbook. And this is a pivotal moment in the relationship because the home stager has to look at the homeowner when the home stager walks in and sees the dining room. Got to look at the homeowner straight in the eye without laughing and say, "What were you thinking?" I thought you were supposed to decorate this. The home stager person will point out the lack of design sense in your home and can back it up by examples. One of the terms that they will use, no surprise here, it's called decorator pillow overload.
Oh, there's no such thing, is there, Gary? Say it ain't so.
It is. And that's just in the living room. You've got a sofa, you've got a love seat, you got 2 chairs. That should provide seating for at least 8 people. But because everything's covered by 41 decorator pillows, there's no place to sit. It's nuts. Home stager person also declares your living room is what they call a doodad disaster. That's another thing. Doodad disaster. This means every coffee table, every side table, every flat surface is covered with decorator candles, dried potpourri, and your collection of hand-carved yaks in heat. You couldn't set down a cup of coffee if you wanted to.
Just to be clear, yaks in heat.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Yep.
Yep, okay. So now we've cleared that up. The home stager will then say to get your house ready for sale, which means, as I said, make it look like you don't live there, you've got to paint every wall throughout the entire house. And home stager knows that that color must be a very attractive color, which is called sterile beige. That's every room in the house has to be in sterile beige. And apparently, during your open house, prospective buyers, they like bare walls. So home stager person instructs you to remove all your happy family photographs and replace them with happy dysfunctional family photographs.
Yeah, we want the family that's not yours to appear on the walls. Yeah,
they want the new purchaser wants to be able to relate to it. And then finally, home stager person will say that you also need to clean the carpets. And that's home stager talk for a crew of professional cleaners in hazmat suits are going to come in and get every last Dorito crumb out from under all the furniture. So then there's one last deterrent, Mike, to selling your house. You know what it is?
The last deterrent to selling your house. No, what is it?
It's the name of your street. This is the name. Take the auditorium. Now, it's on East Avenue. Isn't that a lovely name for a street?
It is a lovely name for a street.
It is. And, well, our first house that we bought, that private sale, it was on a street called Briar Park Road. Hey, that sounds nice.
It does.
Yeah. Then we sold that house, and we moved onto a street that's called Cardinal Knoll. That sounded nice. So I guess what I'm saying, Mike, if your house is on Maple Street, Oak Avenue, or Hickory Place, those are nice addresses for people looking for their forever home. But, there's always a but. If your house is on Toronto Maple Leaf Way, don't expect a quick sale.
Gary.
and if it's number 1 Maple Leaf Way, just resign yourself. You're never selling. Never. People, they won't believe it. So, likewise, if you're trying to sell your house, and let's say the name of your street is, let's say Hemorrhoid Boulevard.
Might not be the most appealing place, Gary.
No, save the embarrassment and stay put. Now, the only worst thing, Mike, from, say, living on Hemorrhoid Boulevard when you're trying to sell it, is that you decide to sell it privately and you post something online that you're going to have an open house, and you give the directions to your open house, and it says, turn left off Hemorrhoid Boulevard onto COVID Court 19.
Gary, you're never selling that place, but you got us laughing as always. Thank you.
It's always fun to laugh.
I'll see you tonight.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks, Mike.
Okay, Gary. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Gary Chalk is the author of Living Retired. It's an online column you can find at livingretired.press. And while you're there, you can sign up to have it delivered right into your inbox, which is an easy way to get it every week. Also, at livingretired.press, there is a way to get in touch with Gary so that you can invite him to share some of that unique sense of humor at your corporate event, your service club, whatever it happens to be. Gary is more than happy to be there with you. livingretired.press. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, yes, I will be seeing Gary tonight. Perhaps I can see you tonight as well, or somewhere over the weekend ahead, because we are getting Farwell for Hire officially underway, and there are lots of opportunities for you to take part. And dare I say, they are pretty tasty opportunities as well. Stay with us on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Well, that could not have been timed any better. Thank you to Eric and Sandra and the entire team at TLC Pet Food in New Hamburg. You just heard Eric's voice, and that is because TLC Pet Food is once again right behind us during the Farwell for Hire campaign as the title sponsor for our annual 50-50 raffle. And to make it even better, what Eric and the team at TLC Pet Food are doing is offering $2,500 of their own dollars as an early bird prize. All you got to do is buy your Farwell for Hire 50-50 ticket before noon tomorrow, and you, yes, you are eligible for that $2,500 in cash. It's that simple. And just think for half a moment what you could do with an extra $2,500. And all you have to do to win it is buy a Farwell for Hire 50-50 raffle ticket at cf5050.ca. cf5050.ca. The overall jackpot is up more than $1,000 since we started the show today. That means the take-home prize is up more than $500 since we started the show today. So jackpot now $39,000 plus, take-home prize almost at $20,000. And you might have heard Gary Chalk a moment ago teasing me that he was enjoying a butter tart right now. I am not allowed to have a butter tart again until this jackpot reaches $70,000, a take-home prize of $35,000. So if you've got a heart, I mean, we're raising money for cystic fibrosis research, which is great, but help a guy who loves his butter tarts to enjoy a butter tart, would you? Just get some tickets. Let's get that jackpot up. Once the take-home prize is $35,000, the jackpot $70,000, I will finally be able to eat a butter tart again. And oh yeah, by the way, our regular listener Kyle will be taken out of the penalty box and he'll be allowed back on the airwaves, but not until the jackpot reaches $70,000. Take-home prize of $35,000. Again, you can get your tickets at cf5050.ca. Gary Chalk a moment ago also mentioned that he will be seeing us tonight because he's coming to our launch party for this year's Farwell for Hire campaign. We are getting together at Block 3 Brewing in St. Jacobs, starting at 6, just till 9. It's a school night. We won't keep you out late, but for just $25, you're getting music from the father and son duo. You're getting food from the village caterer, who just so happens to be the caterer for the media room at the Kitchener Rangers. But $25, you get the food, you get the music, and then we're just going to have a good time together. We will enjoy some Block 3 beverages. They have released Face for Radio IPA again, so that is going to be great for us. A portion of sales gets donated to cystic fibrosis research, but Block 3 has been a great partner as well. So why not join us tonight? We'll get you a ticket at the door if you don't have one already, but 6 o'clock, Block 3 in St. Jacobs. And then through the weekend, I mean, we're getting off to a great start. Tomorrow evening, Friday, at the Aging Oak in Hespeler, I'll be there. And thanks to Peter and his team at the Aging Oak for stepping up and supporting us again. On Saturday, hello to my friends in Wilmot Township at the Cereal Griller in Baden. We'll be cooking up some great food, and a portion of sales will be coming to our campaign as well. So that's on Saturday evening at the Cereal Griller in Baden. And then on Sunday, a long-standing event that many of you really enjoy, deep fried asparagus out at Barry's Asparagus in Cambridge. Noon until 3, we usually set it up like a drive-through. You come through, You get your deep fried asparagus and your garlic aioli to dip it into, and we raise money for cystic fibrosis. So all of those things coming up just in the next few days as we get Farwell for Hire underway in earnest. Follow along on Instagram at Farwell_WR or on Facebook, Farwell, 4 Hire. Keep you up to date with all of these events. And don't forget your 50/50 tickets, cf5050.ca. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Well, this is June the 4th, which is not just Farwell for Hire launch party day. I mean, I hope we'll see you at Block 3 tonight as we get the campaign officially underway for another year. But June the 4th also happens to be our first Thursday of this month of June. And on the first Thursday of every month, we are joined by our friends from the City of Waterloo Museum. Remember, it's open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 until 4. Check it out, and you're going to get some insight today into a great new exhibit that's happening there. But remember to pop in anytime. The location's at Conestoga Mall, Tuesday to Saturday, 10 till 4. Jennifer Huber is a program and engagement associate at the City of Waterloo Museum. She joins us to help us through. She guides the conversations of these Throwback Thursdays with us. Jen, it's always great to see you. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm excited to be here with you all for Throwback Thursdays with the City of Waterloo Museum, where we take a step back in time to uncover the fascinating stories from our city's past.
Well, I'm really looking forward to learning more about these particular stories this month, because when I saw the name of the exhibit, Iron Willed, my thought, I'm just going to be honest, went to blacksmith. We're going to talk about blacksmiths and horseshoes and all of that. But no, Iron Willed is Women in STEM, which of course is science, technology, engineering, and math. And it's, as mentioned, open Tuesday to Friday, or Tuesday, yes, Tuesday through Friday, 10 till 4, Saturdays in July and August for this particular exhibit. So let's talk about Iron Willed, Women in STEM.
Yeah, we're very excited to be hosting it. So it is a traveling exhibit that was developed by Ingenium, which is Canada's Museums of Science and Innovation up in Ottawa. So we brought it down here because the exhibit highlights the achievements and contributions that women make, as you mentioned, to science, technology, engineering, and math. And the exhibit doesn't just look at Canadian women, it looks at national women from all over the world and the wonderful things that they have done to add to and grow these fields. Now, what we've done is we've added a little bit of some local content to highlight some Waterloo women who have done some pretty incredible things in the fields, for sure.
That's what you do so well at the City of Waterloo Museum. Not just help us understand the past better and learn through these exhibits, but make those local connections. So tell us a little bit more, Jen, about the local women who are featured. How did our community shape their journeys into STEM? And who is, maybe some people that we would recognize and expect to see in this exhibit from the community?
Absolutely. I think if we did this exhibit and we didn't talk about the University of Waterloo professor, Donna Strickland, people might have some questions for us. And what I loved about Donna's story is that she loved science from a young age. She talks about being interested in lasers and electro-optics. And it's this early passion that starts from such a young age that fuels her work, leads her through her PhD and onto a team where she is part of building just an incredibly powerful laser. Now, when they were building these powerful lasers, what I learned is you could build a really powerful laser, but it could also destroy itself. So Donna's team was part of building an incredibly powerful laser that would not destroy itself. And what this work was called was chirp pulse amplification, or CPA. And it's her work with this CPA that earned her a Nobel Prize in 2018. Now, another local woman people might expect to see is Anne Innes Dagg. Now, she was the first woman, but what was even more impressive to me is she was one of the first Western researchers to head over to Africa and study animals in the wild in their natural environment. So she was the first woman to do so, but one of the first Western researchers to do so. And she did that in the 1950s. Her work on giraffes that she completed during that time is still a staple today, all these years later, in the giraffe care and behavioral field. And if she didn't do just a lot of work on giraffes, which was a passion she grew from a rather young age when she saw a giraffe at a zoo for the very first time, I think she said she was like 5 years old when that passion began. But she also had a number of other publications. To give you an idea, she produced over 85 different publications. That's scientific papers, books, articles, and we even find some newspaper articles of her writing to the editors about local wildlife and concerns she saw in her own backyard, right here in Waterloo. She worked very heavily for gender equity rules and opportunities for women. And that goes back to when she was trying to head over to Africa to actually do research on giraffes. She had to sign her letters ADAG so that they didn't know she was a woman and she could actually probably get accepted into doing her research. So some fascinating women in our own backyard for sure.
I remember several years ago, Anne was in the region for a fundraiser, and I had the opportunity to interview her prior to, and it was just an extraordinary opportunity. So yes to Anne Innestag, yes to Donna Strickland, names that, as you said, Jen, if we didn't have them attached to this exhibit at the City of Waterloo Museum, people might be raising eyebrows and thinking, okay, we're clearly missing something here. So how about then, because one of the other great things about what you do at the City of Waterloo Museum is enlighten us to things we may not have known before. So how about some women in STEM who we might not have heard of, who also have these connections to Waterloo?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's more than I could possibly begin to talk about, but I did pick just a few to highlight for today. But one of them was Wilfrid Laurier Professor of Physics, Shohani Ghosh. And from a really young age, Shohani was really interested in understanding how the world worked. How did all these pieces around us come together to make the world we see and experience? This passion from a young age is what led her on to quantum physics. And she looked at the laws of quantum physics, which, if I'm honest, I am still trying to remotely understand what's going on there. But thank goodness we have people like Shohani who are figuring it out. But she's looking at the many different applications it has into healthcare, into communication, into various different fields, and how we can be using those laws of quantum physics to our benefit there. She's also very influential in our local community. She is the director of the Laurier Center for Women in Science, which is there to support and grow women in the STEM field, recognize them, and give them opportunities to move their career, their knowledge, and their information forward. She's not the only one, though. We also have Wilfrid Laurier, former professor Hind Alibadle. From a young age, she was really looking at the chemicals in the world around us and how those chemical reactions shape the world or impact what we see in nature around us. This led her through her PhD and into a career where she was looking at the environment and stewardship and the responsibilities of those pieces of our world around us. And then she took that information and looked at how it impacted things like climate change. But even beyond that, she worked for women in STEM who were visible minorities. And she wanted to show that representation so that everybody saw a place for themselves and that they were welcome within the field of science, technology, engineering, and math.
So connections to both of Waterloo's universities here, both Wilfrid Laurier and the University of Waterloo. And as you said at the outset, Jen, this exhibit is all about women in STEM. So some other names, I'm sure, beyond, of course, our own region that we would recognize in this exhibit.
Absolutely. We have some very well-known names, and I thought I could just tell you about them, just like I did some of these lovely local women. But I like to make you and your listeners work every so often, Mike. I like to make it a little bit more tricky. If you didn't have a busy enough week and a busy enough evening tonight, I thought I'd put you to work just a little bit more for us.
I love it.
So, I thought I would give you a couple facts or details about the women and see if you and the listeners at home can kind of guess along who I might be talking about. So the first woman I wanted to talk about is she's actually the first woman to win a Nobel Prize. And the only person to win the prize in 2 different scientific fields, physics and chemistry. Now, she was a leader in research on radioactivity and laid the foundation for modern nuclear physics in cancer treatments. Any guesses?
That one has to be, because especially that work around cancer treatments, Marie Curie, right?
You got it.
Yes.
Exactly. I tried to put some hints in there to make it a little bit easy, but some of them might be tricky. This next one I'm hoping isn't too bad yet. She is famously known as Canada's first female astronaut, and she was the world's first neurologist to head into space. She did some critical microgravity experiments while she was on a particular shuttle, the Space Shuttle Discovery, in 1992. And after her space flight, she went on to lead the International Space Medicine Team for NASA. Any thoughts on who this famous Canadian could be?
You had me on this one at first female astronaut, because, so it's funny, you were talking about how busy it's been, and I was away, obviously out in British Columbia for the Memorial Cup with the Kitchener Rangers, but I don't always get to go to the most exotic locations, Jen. It's not always Kelowna, BC. Sometimes it's Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. But when I go there, and it's actually one of my favorite stops because there's a lot of nice areas to walk along the water in the Sault. And when I do, what building and park do I go past? The Roberta Bondar Park and building. So I'm reminded of Ms. Bondar frequently on my travels through the OHL.
Oh, I love that. That's wonderful.
It's fun.
Okay, here's another one of our Canadian women. She's Canada's first openly practicing female physician. She faced a ton of sexism when she was trying to go through her education to become a doctor. So she actually ended up having to study in the United States for a while, but she does make her way back, and she does push for women to have better access to medical education. She also steps into the suffragette movement, trying to encourage women to find their voice in society.
I feel like this was somebody that was part of one of those heritage moments we saw on TV. I don't know, and I should know for first female practicing female physician, but you got me on this one. Who's this?
This is Emily Howard Stowe.
That's sounding familiar
right.
now. I think, yeah, great stuff. And so many opportunities for us to learn at this exhibit, I'm sure. I wonder, Jen, about maybe some stories that you came across as this was all being put together that surprised you, and you might be able to enlighten us on that. So we'll put a pin in that and take a quick break and then come back with more. It is a Throwback Thursday here on the show because it's the first Thursday of the month of June. Jennifer Huber is a program and engagement associate with the City of Waterloo Museum. Saturdays in July and August, okay, Tuesday through Friday, 10 until 4 at the City of Waterloo Museum, which you'll find at Conestoga Mall. What stories in this new iron-willed exhibit, looking at women in STEM, might have surprised Jen and might surprise you too? We'll find out as we continue on the Mike Farwell Show this morning. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers. It's the first Thursday of the month, and on the first Thursday of every month, we call that a Throwback Thursday, and we get some help from our good friends at the City of Waterloo Museum to look back at our cities past, our communities past, and learn some new information about how we got to where we are today. We're talking about Iron Willed, which is a new exhibit that's opening. Women in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. Maybe some of these stories can inspire you. So, Jen, you gave us a great outline of some of the women in this exhibit with local connections through both of Waterloo's universities, some other very notable Canadian women whose names we would obviously know. What about some other stories that you might have come across as you're putting together this exhibit at the City of Waterloo Museum that surprised you along the way?
Yes, I will tell you, there's always more and more you could possibly learn, but I've picked a few names that, or a few stories that kind of struck me as I was doing research for some of this and learning more about the women who have grown the STEM field. So the one I wanted to start with is Inuyak Sedlovnik. And she is a Nook marine biologist. So she is living in the Nunavut, and she is looking at marine mammals. Specifically, one of the mammals she looks at is beluga whales. And she's taking Western research and she's combining it with traditional knowledge to create a holistic approach for how we are doing marine research with these animals and these mammals up in the Arctic. So incredible stuff happening up that way. There's also Leon Farrell. She was just an absolutely brilliant biochemist. And she was part of some key inventions. One of the things that came up was the Toronto method. And for folks who maybe are a little bit older, maybe you've heard of it. And this is what allowed the polio vaccine to be produced on a mass scale. So you can just imagine the impact that that would have, saving millions and millions of lives all around the world. Another woman that I came across was Laurie Rousseau-Neptune. She was also a First Nation woman, and she was the first in Canada to looking at distant stars and how they were forming in our galaxy. So to do this work, I'm sure you can imagine she used some rather advanced telescopes and technology to be able to recreate and begin to understand what was happening in those far distant pieces of our galaxy. Another story was Harriet Brooks. She was the first female Canadian nuclear physicist. And she was part of discovering some of those radioactive elements and how they were being emitted through gases. So she worked quite closely with Marie Curie, who we chatted about a little bit earlier.
Very cool. So when folks come to the City of Waterloo Museum for Iron-Willed Women in STEM, what can they expect when they visit?
Well, first and foremost, I hope they're inspired. If you just think of some of the different stories we've talked about today, I've barely scratched the surface, even just in the women that are featured within the exhibit. There's incredible stories of overcoming. There's a broad variety of backgrounds. There's different interests and passions and drive. And it's just amazing to see and have some of those feel-good stories about how we've grown and what we've learned in the folks in our community and around the world who've made an impact and a difference. The second thing is I hope they're engaged. I hope you get drawn into those stories. One of the things we have up is a mini movie theater. And inside that mini movie theater is the women actually having an opportunity to tell their story in 2 to 4 minutes, depending on whose story it is. But they get to share in their own words what they've done, what they've accomplished, and what has been their passion and life goals. Or you can get a little hands-on with some of the engagement. We have a 1940s calculator. And I will tell you, there's a little bit more elbow grease involved in this calculator than tapping away on our little cell phones that we mostly use these days. But this calculator is on loan to us from the Computer Museum in the University of Waterloo and is a fun activity to kind of show you some of those early computing roots that we talk about here.
I love that. And, you know, this is the thing about visiting a museum today, and the City of Waterloo Museum would be no exception. It's not just coming into this place and reading things posted to a wall or looking at things in display cases. And, you know, there's always an interactive, more tactile element to it. So what can families and maybe in particular kids expect when they visit?
Yeah, we've definitely, being that we're located in Conestoga Mall, we get a variety of visitors with all different ages. So we try to plan something for everybody. One of the ones I was having a good laugh with a young fellow who was visiting today is we have an interactive that looks at the giraffe's tongue. That's right. A giraffe's tongue, not only its size, but its maneuverability. And we were having a fun time interacting with the leaves, trying to move them along as we were playing there. So we have something that looks at some of Anne Innes-Dagg's research there. We have binary bracelets, which is the foundational code language for computers. So folks can actually make and take something home with them, whether they want to take their initial or a name and break it into binary code. They can do that. And finally, we've worked with the Waterloo Public Library to put together a book nook. As I mentioned, there are just so many different stories. We couldn't possibly feature them all. So we've worked with the library to bring in different stories that we can rotate throughout the exhibit, featuring different women from all over the world, from our own backyard, whatever it might be. So lots of interesting things for everybody in the family.
I love it. It's called Iron-Willed Women in STEM. So that's science, technology, engineering, and math. It's open Tuesday to Friday 10 until 4 at the City of Waterloo Museum. Saturdays in July and August. There you go, families, for, something to do if it's raining or just something different to do. Again, Monday to Friday, 10 till 4. Saturdays in July and August. And this is all free at the City of Waterloo Museum at Conestoga Mall, which you'll find near the food court and the Galaxy Cinema. Jen, as always, we appreciate you. Thank you for this.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for taking this trip down memory lane with me in the City of Waterloo Museum. Until next time, keep the past alive.
That is Jennifer Huber, who is a program and engagement associate with the City of Waterloo Museum. Iron Willed, a new exhibit looking at women in STEM, about to open. All right, we are about to get you to the 570 News Center for an update. And then on your flip side this Thursday morning, I've got a bit of a dilemma. My gut reaction, my knee-jerk reaction immediately to this, I felt pretty confident in my take. And now I can see the other side, so I always like to bring these things to you and see if I'm on the wrong track or at least the right track. Maybe we agree on it. But a buddy of mine was supervising a volunteer cleanup at a park this past weekend. And when one of the kids came to get his hours signed off, the kid wanted more hours than he actually put in. My buddy's no, I can't sign off for more hours than you did. But should you just give the kid the break because it's for volunteer hours and you do them for school? We'll talk about it coming up on the flip side on the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Thursday mornings, 11:30, we take a break from some of the heavier stuff. Have a little bit of fun here on the flip side, although this might turn into heavier stuff. Because, those darn kids today, damn millennials, I blame everything on them. But here's the thing. When my buddy shared this issue with me, my immediate response was he was absolutely right. Do not pass go. Do not collect 200. It's not even an issue. And then I started thinking about it a little more, and I get why he's feeling guilty, and I'm always trying to put myself into the shoes of the person being impacted here, and I'm like, maybe, I don't know. So when I get undecided like this, I like to bring it to you, and maybe you can help me see the light. So here's the deal. My buddy was supervising a community cleanup at a park just last weekend, and whilst there, one of the participants in said cleanup was a high school student that, of course, is putting in those necessary volunteer hours in order to get one's high school diploma. So my buddy tells me the story about this one particular guy that shows up around 9:15, even though the cleanup started at 9. And he signed in and he grabbed his gloves and he grabbed his trash bag and off he went, took some photos by the supplies table, because everything has to be documented, not just for social media, but maybe in this case too for whoever the instructor is that has to sign off or keep track of his volunteer hours. And then off the kid goes. But my buddy doesn't see him again with the group that he was assigned to. He thought, well, maybe he just joined another group, whatever the case may be. So fast forward through the day. Again, it started at 9, so a 4-hour cleanup takes you to 1. And it was around 12:30 when they were starting to wrap up. And this guy is back. First time he's seen him since he first signed in. And he's got an iced coffee in his hand. There's no fast food restaurant selling coffee near the park, but anyway. And his mom is with him, and they've got the form to be filled out for school. And they expected that form be filled out for the 4 hours of volunteer time for the community cleanup. So just in a nutshell, my buddy sees him check in at 9, goes off into the park, doesn't see him again. And then at 12:30, they're like, okay, with the iced coffee in hand, I mean, I don't know, if you're going to play hooky, maybe hide the evidence, whatever the case is. So he didn't do 4 hours. And my buddy's like, well, sorry, but he only did an hour, and I can't sign for 4 when he was only here for less than 1 hour. Mom gets pretty upset by this and suggested that my buddy just didn't see him doing the work, this and that. And My buddy's like, look, I'm not calling your kid lazy. I'm just saying I saw less than an hour of work. I'll sign for an hour, but I can't in good conscience sign for 4. So off the kid and mom go in a huff, but my buddy stuck to his guns. Says, I can't sign for 4 hours when he was only here for, even generously, 1 hour. So obviously, as time passes, my buddy is feeling what I like to call the Catholic guilt, right? You restrict. You played it by the book. Obviously, this will impact the kid's volunteer hours for the 40 that he needs. And hey, it's June last time I checked, so probably getting pretty desperate to get these hours all submitted, et cetera, et cetera. Nonetheless, my initial response to this was, dude, you're absolutely right. You have nothing to feel guilty about. And believe you me, I feel the Catholic guilt all the time for all kinds of things. But I'm like, you're right. Like, hours are hours. And why would you, it's just like going to work. Why would you get paid for hours that you didn't put in? To me, it's a no-brainer. But the more I thought about it, the more I tried to put myself in this kid's shoes. And I don't know, like, it's volunteer hours. Like, does it really matter? Did he show up to do something? Yes. Just sign it for 4, move on. It's really ultimately, it's the kid that's got to deal with the outcome of this, if you will. You want to get 4 hours of volunteer time signed off on when you only did 1 hour? That's a you problem. If that's all you want to put in, you'll get your lessons down the road in life sometime. But maybe this is the point, or this is the point in time to teach the lesson. So what do you make of this? Should you just sign off on the 4 hours and let the kids submit that? Who cares, right? Or do you play the strict card like my buddy did and say, no, he was here for less than an hour. I'm signing for 1 hour, and you figure out how to get the other 3 yourself, because it's not going to be on my conscience. Initially, I was right there with the strict approach. Then I got a little bit more, I just don't know. What about from the kid's perspective? It's a him problem, not a you problem. You tell me. 519-570-2545. Star 570 or 1-800-570-5715. I come from a school of thought, pun intended, that I could not in good conscience ask for 4 hours to be signed off on if I didn't do the 4 hours. Flat out. I wouldn't be able to ask for that. So initially, I thought this is absolutely the right way to go. You tell the kid, look, it's a 4-hour cleanup. You put in 1 hour of the 4 hours. I'm going to sign off for 1. But in the grand scheme of things, what difference does it make to me or to my buddy? If the kid wants to skimp on the hours and take the easy way out, so to speak, that's on the kid. It's not on you. I still think I'm leaning my buddy's way here, and we are of the same vintage. We think an awful lot alike. I think that's why we're buddies. But I started thinking, I started wondering about it, and I thought the best way to get to the bottom of this is to bring it to you. So is the strict approach the right approach? Is it my buddy's job? I mean, the kid's mom's here too, essentially pleading for the 4 hours, right? Okay, if that's how you deal with your family and deal with your life, then you go ahead. Maybe it's not my buddy's problem at all. Let's go to the phones here and find out from you. Dale, good morning.
Hey, how you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I think, volunteerism is an awesome thing to encourage all people, but especially young people to do. But I've always had this thought that, it's the stick or the carrot. If you teach young kids that you have to volunteer or you're going to get punished in some way, like you won't graduate, I think that's kind of not the best way to do it. There should be a reward system. If you do your 40 hours, maybe you earn a couple extra credits or something else beneficial happens instead of making it the stick approach. That's just sort of my thoughts on it.
No, I hear where you're coming from on that. But then, okay, so the reward is extra credits, but did this kid earn the reward? Do you sign him up for 4 hours when he only did 1 hour of volunteering?
No, in that case, if it's a reward mechanism, then absolutely, then you have to be hardball. But when people say you have to do 40 hours of volunteer or you don't graduate, then kids are volunteering because they have to. They don't. It's not because they want to.
Yeah.
And I just think it's kind of just the wrong way. But if it was the reverse and it was a reward system, well, then yeah, sure, you should hardball on it.
All right, Dale, really appreciate that perspective. I hear you, right? I mean, so in this case, you're like, listen, you're being forced to be here anyway. Whatever, I'll make it easy on you to get out of this. Marianne, good morning.
Good morning.
Is this the first time you've called our show, Marianne?
Yes, it is.
Well, welcome to the show.
Well, I listen to you every morning.
Thank you.
I should say right until you're finished at 1 o'clock.
I really appreciate that.
All right. I am from the school of thought that they have 4 years to do 40 hours of volunteer. That's 10 hours a year. That, to me, is very doable. So I have no sympathy for this kid. I don't think I'd have even given him the 1 hour since he didn't put in a full hour. And the mother obviously is an enabler because she seemed to be all huffy about it as well. So, this is ridiculous. They've got all this time in their 4 years to get those volunteer hours in. My granddaughters got the 40 hours in the first year.
Yeah, you know what, Marianne? It's a great point. Thanks for calling and sharing that today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Really good point, right? 10 hours a year. Procrastinate much? And now that you're under the gun, you're trying to say to my buddy, well, sign me down for 4 hours. This was a 4-hour cleanup. Yeah, but you didn't do the 4 hours. That's the problem. Ruth Ann, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good. Are you also a first-time caller to this show?
Yes, I am.
Well, Ruth Ann, welcome to the show. Thank you for calling.
Thank you. I agree with Mary Ann. What is that teaching them in life?
I think that's an excellent question to ask, Ruth Ann. And it crossed my mind, too. As I said a little bit earlier, my father would call this a teachable moment. Is it up to my buddy to teach the lesson, or is it up to the kid's future employer? I don't know, but I think this is an opportunity for sure. If you want 4 hours of pay, you do 4 hours of work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was shocked. So I agree with your buddy, and I agree with you if that's the way you look at it. Absolutely.
All right, Ruth Ann, thanks for calling in today.
Okay, and you have a great day.
You too. Bye now.
Okay, bye-bye.
That was my initial reaction, right? The strict approach. 4 hours is 4 hours. If the community cleanup is 4 hours and you want 4 hours of volunteer service time recorded, then you do the 4 hours. It was just my immediate response. And then when I started thinking about it more, I tried to look at it from the other side. And obviously this family now is frustrated. And I thought to myself, well, maybe it's not my problem to teach this lesson. Just sign the 4 hours. That becomes a them problem. If they want to live their lives this way and plead for the hours they didn't put in, I don't know. I'm still mostly leaning the same way I initially did. And that is with Ruth Ann and with Mary Ann and with my buddy. You want 4 hours of service signed off on, then you put in 4 hours of service. If you put in 45 minutes of service, I'll be generous and give you 1 hour, and that's it. You go find the 3 hours from some other sucker. Generally speaking, that's where I land on this. James, what about you? Good morning.
Good morning, Mike. First thing is, tomorrow's Friday, and I don't know what the heck I'm going to do tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. So that's the first problem that I have. I 2 kids that I have both went through high school, and their mom and I said, you need to do your community service work in grade 9 because there's no way you're going to be scrambling to do it in grade 12. No grandparents, no family, no pay. It's volunteer work. They did it 1 hour for 1 hour. It's like me going to work. If I show up for an hour, I don't get paid for 4. So this is something that they need to learn to do. Yes, it's volunteer now, but it sets them on the course for when they enter their work life. That you don't show up for 1 hour and you get to leave early and you get paid for the rest of the day. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you very much, and I hope that I find something to do tomorrow night.
Thanks, James. I appreciate it. Very well said. And here's the good news about not having anything to do tomorrow night, Friday night at 7 o'clock, which, of course, would be Kitchener Rangers hockey time, right? It is the shortest off season that we have had in 18 ding-dang years. We're going to be back at the odd in no time, just a few months, and it's going to be a brand new season. We'll continue the flip side. The question is what my buddy experienced this past weekend. It's a 4-hour community cleanup in a park. Kid comes in, puts in less than an hour's worth of quote-unquote work, and asks that his volunteer hours be signed off on as a 4-hour amount of service. My buddy's like, no, you put in about 45 minutes. I'll give you 1 hour and you get out of here. And then the kid's mom and the kid were very frustrated. My buddy starts second guessing himself. I was with my buddy from the very beginning. I still mostly feel that I am. But is there an argument to be made from the kid and his mom's side of this? It's a them problem. It's not my buddy's problem. He just has to feel guilty that they're upset with him now. What would you do? Would you sign off for the 4 hours and just send them on their way? Or do you only get 1 hour of service when you only put in 1 hour of service for your volunteer hours? We'll take more calls after this on the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Kid comes to my buddy's community cleanup in a park this past weekend. Works for less than an hour, expects that his volunteer sheet gets signed for 4. My buddy says, it's not the way it works. Kid and his mom are upset after the fact. I'm fully on board with my buddy. But then I started thinking, is there another side to this? Do you look at the family side and say, listen, it's a you problem if you want to scam your volunteer hours? I thought I'd bring it to you. You always help me see these things more clearly. So that's our question for you today. On the flip side, we'll get back to the phones. Jim, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Here's my kind of 2 cents on this with a son of my own, and daughter of my own. This is built on integrity here. Your friend has integrity and character. It's men like him that have to, stand up for society and what's right. Doing something like this in employment is, I think it's referred to maybe as time theft. And I don't think employers have much time to lose people or lose time like this. So I think he's doing society a favor here in the long run. And then his trust. He does this for one, and then down the stream you see more and more coming to him. Mom may share this information with other peers, and then they're sending more kids this way to do this easy escape way out too. Can take years for this man to build trust in the community, and he could lose it very easily over something like this, I feel. So I think he's doing the right thing, and I thank him for it. So take care, Mike.
Thanks, Jim. You too. That is so well said, and you get me thinking about character and integrity. And what is it we say? That character is defined by what we're doing when nobody else is looking? This kid was just kind of, trying to hide from the volunteer commitment, if you will. Character is defined by what we do when nobody else is looking. Ranger Joe, good morning. You're on the flip side.
Good morning, Michael. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. Mikey, you know what? I'm from an era, I'm even quite a bit older than you are, but when I was a student and we had volunteer work like that, our ethics and our work habits were much different then than they are nowadays. First of all, Mikey, I would never sign off for this kid anyway, and what really gets me is his mother gets angry too. My mom and dad, if I even tried doing stuff like that, which I would never have done anyway, but they never would have stood behind me and been mad if anything like that happened, Like, what is this kid going to do when he enters a real working world, Is he going to take shortcuts here and there? I can see, whatever you do when you're younger, a lot of times migrates into as you get older, relationships, jobs, like all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, I wouldn't have signed off, and like I say, his mother shouldn't have supported him either, but your friend did the right thing anyway, buddy. That's it.
All right. Joe, thanks for the call. Good to hear from you. I really like that idea about instilling the good habits at this age, right? Preston Paul, Farwell's Force, member number 45. Good morning.
Good morning, Mike. Do you need a parachute to get off that Cloud 9 yet? Or...
No, don't. I don't want to get off yet. Thank you.
I know. I get goosebumps every time you think about it.
You betcha.
Every hour I just think about it. Go, oh, that feels good. So your friend did absolutely the right thing. Everybody that's called in has said the right thing. That you need to earn it. Where's the integrity and just the will to want to do the work? And that's what he's losing. And I'm just glad that your friend did the right thing.
All right, Paul, I really appreciate it. It seems as though we're unanimous today. Maybe Francis will break the unanimous deadlock here. Francis, good morning.
Good morning. Well, I would have done is give the person a half an hour. And that way, when they go to put the hours in, they say, well, why do you only have a half an hour? And then maybe they would have to explain. Our girls, we volunteered them years ago, and they were hardly on the job, and they did it willingly and put a whole lot more hours in, and they didn't even have to do volunteer work, but they learned to enjoy it, and to this day, they do all kinds of volunteer work. Really, you got to catch it as a bud, and otherwise you give them a freebie, they think the world owes it to them. And with that, I'll say, God bless you all.
All right, Francis, thank you for the call. Clinton sends an email to Mike at 570news.com. He says, 40 hours is not exactly Mount Everest. I've got zero sympathy for this kid. So it does indeed remain unanimous. If you want 4 hours of volunteer service time on your list for school, put in 4 hours of volunteer service time. It's pretty simple. I was with my buddy at the beginning. I'm with him even more right now. I'm going to send him a recording of this show, too. An update from the 570 News Center coming up, and then the Talkback Hour begins. Let's discuss the issues of the day together. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Take out the papers and the trash, or you don't get no spending cash. If you don't scrub that kitchen floor, you ain't gonna rock and roll no more. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
Just finish cleaning up your room. Let's see that dust fly with that broom. Get all that garbage outside, or you don't go out Friday night. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
It is that time of day where we open up the phone lines and set aside the time for you to talk about the issues of the day. Or maybe there is an issue you would like to make the issue of the day. It's fine. Either of those things. Weigh in on something you didn't get to have your say about earlier, or call in and tell us about something that's important to you, because, hey, it's important to us if it's important to you. 519-570-2545, star 570, or 1-800-570-5715. Couple of the bigger discussions that we've had today, one of them being around right-hand turns on red lights. And most of you, when we talked about this earlier, seemed to be coming at it from a perspective similar to mine, insofar as the data doesn't really seem to back up the urgent need for this to be identified as a road safety priority. Fairway Road and Wilson Avenue in Kitchener is one of the intersections that will have, it's a pilot project, we'll gather some data, see what it looks like, but Fairway and Wilson is one of the identified intersections. And in the report to Regional Council, that intersection, Fairway and Wilson, had over a 5-year period 4 collisions involving pedestrians and drivers. 4 over 5 years. And when you consider the sheer number of crossings at that intersection, both pedestrian and vehicle, I would say that number is statistically insignificant. I know that for whomever it was that was injured, I don't think anybody was killed, but obviously that's the worst case outcome, and that's not insignificant to them. But if we want to work on road safety initiatives, shouldn't we work on reducing numbers that are far higher than 4 collisions over 5 years? One of the other concerns I have with the data is these have been identified collisions when a right-hand turn is being made. But I'm curious as to whether or not that right-hand turn is being made against a red light or a green light. Because if that right-hand turn is being made against a red light, there should be nobody in that crosswalk to your right because they would be crossing right in front of the cross traffic. And Clive called just before our 10 o'clock news this morning when we were talking about this and said, I am missing a key element here. And that is the person who is walking across the street legally in front of me. If I want to make a right-hand turn at the red light, there could be, and at Fairway and Wilson likely are, people crossing in the crosswalk legally right in front of the stopped traffic. And what we tend to do, and we know this as drivers, we know how lazy we are, right? We're coming up to a red light. We're going to turn right. We know we're going to turn right. We know we're allowed to turn right. So we slow down, probably at best, right? And we're looking to our left to make sure that we can make that turn and avoid a collision with another vehicle. But are we looking for the pedestrian that might be crossing in front of us? It was a good point made by Clive. And in fact, Rob Deutschman called the show yesterday to bring up the same thing. What I would submit to you, and I'm not trying to be unkind or insensitive here, but as somebody who walks a lot, every day, Rosie the pandemic pup and I are out there, and come heck or high water, I'm getting my 10,000 steps in. For that kind of collision to happen, for me to be crossing legally at the intersection, and for a vehicle to be turning right on that red light to strike me, the number of things that have to go wrong, it's a lot. It's a lot of things that have to go wrong, and I don't think that banning right turns on red lights is going to fix that problem. With the number of things that have to go wrong, what we're dealing with here is imperfect human beings. I know it sucks, but we're going to make mistakes, and sometimes those mistakes are going to have really rotten outcomes. But if you really want to attain, and I just truly, logically, maybe I don't have enough of a heart, I don't know, but logically speaking, if we want to attain this quote-unquote vision zero idea of no collisions that result in serious injury or death on our roads, then you are going to have to get rid of vehicles entirely. It's that simple. Because, again, we have how many 700,000 beings in this community who interact with one another on our roads every single day, thousands upon thousands of times? Statistically speaking, there will be unfortunate incidents between these people, whether they're in vehicles, whether they're on bicycles, whether they're in cars or on foot, it doesn't matter. The numbers tell us statistically that mistakes will happen, and some of those mistakes will have really unfortunate, if not rotten outcomes. But I feel like we're kind of chasing a ghost here. 4 collisions in 5 years identified as the worst of the intersections that will have this ban on red lights. Don't forget the 74 collisions we had just last year. 74 in just 1 year between vehicles and light rail transit trains. I haven't heard a single thing. I mean, we make fun of those collisions. I always like to make fun of those collisions because the train is on tracks. It is the most predictable thing out there on the road. And yet we somehow find ways to run into them. But I have not heard one suggestion as to how to reduce the number of those collisions. What are we going to do about that? 74 in 1 year. Oh, but at Fairway and Wilson, there were 4 pedestrians involved in collisions with drivers who were turning in 5 years. That's something we need to fix. But the 74 collisions between trains and vehicles, no, that's the one we need to fix, or we don't need to fix. Anyway, my 2 cents, it was a topic of conversation earlier, and maybe you want to redress that here. Let's get to the phones on Talkback. Andre is with us. Good afternoon, Andre.
Good afternoon, Grand Pumbaa. This is Farwell, Forest 369.
No, you're not. You make up numbers all the time. You are not Farwell's Force member number 369.
To the wall.
Okay, you know what? You are. I just checked. I thought you were fibbing. You are 369, Andre. Good job.
I'm calling. I've been listening every day, and this red light thing, when I came from Quebec, it was a privilege in Ontario. And it's just nonsense because of it's not the light, it's not the people crossing. Even if they did illegally, whatever, it's the car. The people are distracted, like Rob Deutschman was saying, I think yesterday. It's the people are distracted. They're looking to the left, and you're looking to the left, and then they go, and something happens. I think when you drive a vehicle, you should be 100% responsible of what you're doing. And for two, Mike, I was waiting because a lot of you were very busy. And I want to thank you personally and to the whole organization of Kitchener for our team, the Kitchener Rangers, because there was no doubt to me that they were going to win it all. That's why I put in my request for tomorrow. That song means a lot to me. And, I know we have a lot of teams in Quebec and Canada, but there was no doubt that this team was made perfectly. And I'd like to thank everybody for what they did. And sorry I wasn't there. It's very hard for me to get out of the house and all that stuff. But, because of you, Mike, my heart is back in the hockey. And I'd like to thank you for what you say, what you do for us that cannot be there. Have a good one, Mike.
All right, Andre, thanks for the call. I'm sure the Kitchener Rangers organization appreciates that support. It was a whale of a team that General Manager Mike McKenzie built this year, and there was little doubt that Kitchener would win that Memorial Cup on the weekend. That's how good they were. That's how well they were playing. On Andre's point about being from Quebec, there are no right-hand turns allowed on red lights in Quebec. It must seem like a completely new land when you come here to Ontario and you can turn right on a red. And frankly, I don't care if I can turn right on a red or not. Like, if if the province wants to ban that and make it like Quebec, so be it. I can't buy into the argument that we're making here about the lack of safety. 4 collisions over 5 years is not a high enough number for me to be all that concerned with. But again, I'm just a cold-hearted jerk, I know. Denise, you're next on Talkback. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mike. I'm Force member number 373, and it's my first time to call.
Well, Denise, I love it when people call for the first time. It is one of my absolutely favorite things. Farwell's Force member number 373, reporting for duty. Good afternoon.
There you go. I would like to say thank you for your show. I listen every day. It's awesome. You have me chuckle, and sometimes it's sad, but it's still a great show, and thank you very much. I'm calling with a different view about Fairway and Wilson right-hand turns. Mm-hmm. I live here on Fairway and Wilson, and there's a lot of near misses every day. It's scary, and you have to catch the guy's eye, the one that wants to turn on the street. You have to catch his eye before you cross, or else he's going to run you over.
Well, this is the thing. You're a smart person. You are looking for, and you're right. That driver is a jackwagon and should be put in jackwagon jail. But you're doing the smart thing, right? You're making sure you catch their eye first.
Yeah, but even then, you're starting to cross, and they're itching toward you. I don't know how many times that they just turned anyways. I'm crossing. They just so many times I almost got my toes smashed. But there's a lot of near misses, and I fault the drivers, yes, but I also fault a lot of pedestrians because a lot of them are on their phones and they start crossing even before the crosswalk goes for them.
Yeah.
There's a few people I had to pull back. I goes, watch it. So a lot of jackwagons out there.
Absolutely there are, Denise, for sure.
Well, thank you for your time, and you have an awesome day, and go Rangers.
Thanks, Denise. You too. Great to hear from you today. Love another first-time caller. Glad that this show can bring you a chuckle, can make you sad, can make you angry. It's life, right? Life right here on the radio and on TV. It's the Mike Farwell Show. Talkback continues. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. I just got an email notification reminding me that there are now less than 24 hours because the email came in about 20 minutes ago. Tomorrow at noon, we make our first early bird draw in the Farwell for Hire 50/50 raffle. It's $2,500 cash from TLC Pet Food, but you have to have your ticket before tomorrow at noon. So just giving you the reminder I got via my email. Go to cf5050.ca and get your tickets right now. Back to the phones here on Talkback. Dave, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mike. I just bought my 50/50 ticket.
Attaboy. Thank you very much.
No worries. Hey, listen, quick question about the region. I think they've lost their way. I mean, now they're trying to police the streets, but I'm just saying, like, it's not a big thing. Like, I'm sorry, 4 people get hit. Some will get charged. It could be jaywalking. But there's bigger things in the region I'm worried about: water shortage, housing. Like where are they with this? Like, instead of having all these committees, and going forward, I think our election's coming up because I think some of these people have been in the chair way too long, and I think they've lost their way. Thank you.
Okay, Dave, I appreciate the call. And I said this earlier when we talked about this. I know there are big issues. I think we can deal with homelessness and housing and water and road safety. I really do. If we're going to deal with multiple things, if we're going to walk and chew gum, let's chew on the bigger pieces of gum. 4 collisions over 5 years doesn't inspire me a ton. Generally, too, I don't necessarily disagree that we may have lost our way in some cases. I think, anyway, I won't get into how, because it's a long-standing debate, I think. How much have we allowed our elected officials to lose their way because we're just not as engaged as we once were? And I get there's reasons for that, right? We're awfully busy and we're trying to make ends meet, but just remember this. It is an election year. This October, we go to the polls. We can make new choices if we want to. So let's make sure we take advantage of that opportunity. Chris is next on Talkback. Good afternoon, Chris.
Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Number 379, I'm just checking in here with you. Force member 379. I just want to thank you for your coverage of the Rangers, and I'm up here in Collingwood, and but I'm attached to Kitchener, and I just feel like this win has just galvanized the city of Kitchener.
I couldn't agree more. Now, are you Collingwood Chris that sent me that amazing Kitchener sign that looks like an old railway sign?
You know I am.
Oh, Chris, like we're best friends already, and I'm just talking to you for the first time.
I know. But you know what? That sign was good luck, wasn't it?
It was. Exactly. You know what that means now, Chris?
What does it mean?
I guess I'm going to need another one next year.
Oh. Will do. But you know what? You know what it showed, though? The Ranger win showed that the Barrie Colts, the team that we follow around here, was a pretty good team.
Absolutely. Listen, Kitchener did kind of make it look easy. They were 20-2 through the playoffs. There was some great competition. Kitchener was just that good a team.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I got one more for you.
Okay.
I've got a neighbor, and he holds the record for the most points at a Memorial Cup, and he lives in Collingwood. I won't give you the name. You can look it up. But he appreciated your coverage as well, and it brought back a lot of really special memories for him. So thank you for that.
A neighbor in Collingwood that holds the record for most points at a Memorial Cup. Do you live near Jeff Larmer?
Ranger too. He's a Kitchener Ranger.
Do you live near Jeff Larmer?
You bet I do.
Oh, tell Jeff. Please tell Jeff he was like my favorite Ranger. I'm not even kidding. Tell him that for me, please.
Will do.
Okay.
Will do.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you so much. Okay. Nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you too. Oh, I love it. And yes, this Kitchener Rangers win really galvanized us in all the good ways, didn't it? Mary is next on Talkback. Hello, Mary.
Oh, hi, Mike with a mic. Listen, I haven't called in about the hockey because the lines have been buzzing.
They're buzzing.
But it made my heart sing when I listened to it, and you, of course. I'm a bit disturbed about what this Colleen James is bringing forward. I feel that we need a little education to the pedestrians. Don't walk out when you're looking at your phone.
I've heard a lot of that, Mary. And remember, it was Colleen James's motion, but it was supported by her council colleagues.
Care.
Okay, okay.
No, I just wanted to get to you that people are doing stupid things.
They are doing stupid things.
And it's not just the drivers. Let's put some blame where some blame is due. It happens in parking lots. I'm backing out. I have a noise on the back of my car. They don't care. No. And I'm at an intersection, and I say, my God, they're not even. They put their foot on the to go across, and they haven't looked nowhere. I am from the old school. You look to the left, you look to the right, and then you cross, and look to the left again, and then you cross the street. They're just too much involved with their gadgets and themselves. As I said to you one time before, I'd rather, the pedestrian has the right of way, but I'd rather be safe than dead. What do you think, Mike?
Mary, I think that's a great way to put it. I'd rather be safe than dead. We learned it when we were kids, didn't we? You look both ways before you cross the street. I'm trying to remember if it was a Toronto municipal attempt or if it was a provincial piece of legislation called the Zombie Law, whereby it would be illegal to be walking down the street looking at one's phone. I feel it was provincial. I'll look it up. But anyway, Mary said, and if somebody on regional council wants to try the opposite, right? Colleen James brought forward the motion that's been endorsed by her council colleagues for a pilot project banning right turns on red lights. Does any regional councillor want to come up and bring forward a motion that would make it illegal to cross a street while looking at one's phone? I've heard a lot of that since we started these conversations. An update from the 570 News Center. Jason, Dave, Dallas, hang on. We're coming right to your calls, and I still have a line for you on Talkback as we continue on the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. It is a busy day on the phone lines, which is exactly the way we like it. We want you to have the chance to have your say. So I'll get right back to the phones. Dallas is next. Good afternoon, Dallas.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What number am I?
Dallas, you got to remember that, pal. I write them all down by hand. I don't have a searchable spreadsheet over here. What do you think I am, Einstein? Come on with your coming on.
Pretty close. Number 30, my friend.
Number 30, my friend. Let me see. Yes, it checks out. I've got you down at number 30. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah. Anyways, I just wanted to say, I had a couple other things I was going to chirp in, but I just wanted to say that I honestly cannot believe how you came back from Kelowna with a voice. Because I'm telling you, man, I listened to every game on the radio, and the way you were screaming, I thought, man, he's not going to be back on the air for another week.
Dallas, I don't have a lot going for me, but I got some strength down there in the old vocal cords. It's hard to wear them out, buddy.
Hey, well, the old pipes don't give up.
That's right. Exactly.
You have yourself a good day, my friend.
Thank you, Dallas. You too. It's all I got. It's all I've got. It's gotten me 31 years through this racket. 31 years ago this month, I got my first part-time job, overnights at CKPC in Brantford. And here we are. As long as the voice holds up, I'm going to hang in here. There you go. Dave is next on Talkback. Good afternoon, Dave.
Hi, Mike. First-time caller in a long time.
Wait a minute. First time in a long... So you've called before, but not for a long time.
Yeah, I'm the operator of Betsy 3, as you know. So I'm an OG, so I should be number 99 on your list, I think.
Oh, an OG, you say. Yeah. Number 99. All right, David, all right.
Yeah, back and forth to Toronto. Remember those years? Like, it was a long time ago now. But...
I remember when you and I first met then, if you're talking about Betsy and back and forth to Toronto. Yeah. You were, I was on the country station.
Yes, you were.
Yes, I was. Yeah. See, there you go.
Jeez, yeah. So, yeah, definitely 99 then, for sure.
You're not 99, though. You know that, right?
Okay. So what number do you think I am then?
I don't know what number you are, but I've got Max down at number 99, so.
Okay, 27?
You have to remember... Dave, did you not hear me just go through this with Dallas? I have not got a sortable spreadsheet. Goodness gracious me. All right, what else is on your mind?
Okay, well, I'm talking about, my mom was on the road, always on the road. So the only way this is going to work with the right-hand turns, it's right. Like, you're sitting on a red light and people shouldn't be crossing the road. You got to worry about the other side, though, but that's the only problem there coming the other way. But I think the only way, and it's not going to happen because I wish they could spend the money on it and they won't, but is advanced right. Red light for a right turn, but have an advance before the walk sign comes on. But that's not going to happen, I don't think, but it's a good idea.
Yeah, you know what, Dave? And I've heard other people suggest in the context of this conversation to create signalized intersections that have dedicated time for just the pedestrians to move. I'm okay with that, too. I really am. I think we're onto something here. I can't get behind this no right on red because, to me, the data doesn't support it. Tom, you're on Talkback. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. First, congratulations to the Rangers. They put us on the map for a good thing. And the other thing, I'm glad for Mitch Marner.
What?
Well, yeah.
No.
Look, the guy loved Toronto.
Oh, did he? Then why didn't he lead the playoffs in scoring when he loved Toronto so much?
No.
Yeah.
It's the other guys.
It's the other guys.
Like, look what happened when he left.
I know.
We're in the last place.
Well, I can't be happy. I can't be happy. No.
The guy loves Toronto. He grew up in Toronto.
If
they did to him, it's not like, if you live in Toronto and you move to Vegas, you can't be normal. So he doesn't like it there, but he's playing good, and I'm glad. The other thing, just leave the right-hand turn on the red. Don't try to change different changes because you're just going to confuse the people.
All right, Tom. I appreciate the input. Listen, I love Kitchener. If I put in a half-assed effort every day, I wouldn't last in Kitchener. If Mitch Marner loved Toronto, then he would have scored points in Toronto. I don't think he loved Toronto like you think he loved Toronto. So there. And I am predisposed to being miserable when it comes to sports, okay? Even my beloved said to me last night, did you hear who your Leafs team is thinking of hiring as a coach? Yes, the former goaltender for the team that shall not be named. Could I possibly cheer for that? I'm having a hard enough time staying by my team with the mess that they are. Then I've got my goofy Pittsburgh Steelers and their geriatric jerk of a quarterback. He's the geriatric jerk. That's the actual name of Aaron Rodgers. I'm so upset about that. But you know what? I've got my Kitchener Rangers, and they just won the Memorial Cup. So there. Best junior hockey team in Canada right here in Kitchener. Bless your hearts, boys, because I don't know what I would have done this year without you. Wendy is with us on Talkback. Good afternoon, Wendy.
Hi, Mike. Farwell scores number 170 here.
170. Welcome to the show.
Look, you did a great job on Tuesday night. What a party, huh?
Oh, wasn't that great?
It was awesome.
It really was.
I don't know what they're going to do about Fairway Road. I try to avoid it because it's crazy. Putting in advanced green is just going to back up the traffic even more, but they have to do it both ways. I have sat there, and what's really bad is when the men, they have the children in the strollers. They've got their headphones on. They're looking at their phones. They're paying no absolute attention. Somebody's going to get killed. I don't know if they need to ring bells. I don't know if they need to have a whistle. I don't know, but something has got to be done before a baby gets killed at that intersection. I try to avoid it now because it's so scary. They got to do something, and I don't think just allowing no red turn is the answer. But they got to do something, and no red turn is not the answer. Let them do something.
Okay. Well, Wendy, absolutely. I appreciate that call. And remember, this is a pilot project, and we're going to see what the data tells us a year from now. I just don't think that what the data is telling us already warrants the ban on right-hand turns at red lights now. But we'll see. I wish we went after some of the bigger fish. Right? We can do multiple things simultaneously, but let me share this example with you. And this is what frustrates me. You know, so many things frustrate me, right? We used to, and I got to get to the bottom of why we don't anymore. But we would have an annual report from what the heck was it called? It was about collisions. Was it just the annual collision report? Anyway, the region kept track of this. It stopped several years ago now, but every year you could look at the collision report to find out which intersections or which roads were the most dangerous or the most likely for you to have a collision. And Ottawa and Homer Watson consistently came up as the most dangerous intersection. And so what do we have there now is a roundabout. And I would submit to you, we probably have more collisions now because roundabouts are difficult for us, but they are less severe. So injuries are down and deaths would be down, et cetera. But we did this collision report every year, and it told us where collisions were happening, how many were happening, who was involved in them, drivers of vehicles, drivers and cyclists, drivers and pedestrians, you name it. It was all broken down. And here's the thing. I'll connect it to our misguided, in my opinion, speed camera program. We kept talking about, the safety. Won't anybody think of the children? We got to put these speed cameras all around these school zones. Can I ask you, where's the carnage since we took the cameras away? How many poor young school children have been struck by fast-moving vehicles since we took the cameras away? Oh, none? Because, you see, we have this data, right? Or we used to. I'm sure it's still out there. We could easily gather it, couldn't we? We know where vehicles are traveling the fastest at the most dangerous speeds, where collisions are most likely to occur. Hello, Homer Watson Boulevard. Limit of 70? Raise your hand if you see people going 100 out there. How about Ira Needles? I call it the racetrack. I drive it to work every day. I keep her locked somewhere between 60 and 65. I'm careful. The limit's 60. People blow past me. I am in their way on the Ira Needles racetrack. This is where excessive speed is happening. But how do we respond to it? In the name of road safety, we will change intersections that have seen 4 collisions in 5 years. That's where we prioritize. Or we'll come on to my street, yes, the street where I live, I'm taking this personally, where I have lived for more than 20 years. On 0 occasions over 20 years has there been a collision on my street. 0. And yet we now have, and for the last few years, we've had those goofy little bollards posted in the middle of the street to slow down traffic. Why did we spend that money? There were 0 collisions. 0. But what have we done on Homer Watson Boulevard? What have we done on Westmount Road? What have we done on Weber Street? We know where the dangerous drivers are. We know where the dangerous behaviors are being exhibited. And what do we do instead? Change school zones to 30, put bollards on my street where there's never been a crash, and ban right-hand turns at intersections where there have been 4 collisions in 5 years. Make it make sense to me, Waterloo Region. Make it make sense. It's Talkback on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Jason, thank you for the email to Mike at 570news.com. The lines were busy. Jason was waiting, couldn't wait anymore, but he follows up with an email on right-hand turns. He says, I'm worried about new projects when they still haven't fixed Trussler Road at the 7-8 yet. Typical of our region. I'm with you in that regard, Jason. I think there are bigger fish to fry than the 4 collisions in 5 years. Road safety is important. Could we start with the least safe areas? Anyway, thanks for emailing in. I'm sorry you couldn't get through on the busy phones. We're going to get right back to them now. John is with us. Good afternoon, John.
Hey, Mike. How are you doing today?
I'm doing real good, thanks. How are you?
Oh, good. I agree 100% with you. I just wanted to say that, I think being a Gen Xer, we were raised that, you kind of take care of yourself and look out for, the drivers and everything else. We were raised that way, and these people nowadays, they don't pay attention at all. And I don't think that we should be punished, by slowing us down. And I don't mean slowing down as far as speed-wise, but just you sit there. Traffic is bad enough in this city. You can't get anywhere anymore. And now you're going to add to it by making us wait at every intersection. We can't turn right on a red because of 4 people, right?
It's a really good point. It's a very small, again, I will say, statistically insignificant number, and it's causing backups for everybody else.
So here's another thing. I live by the Iron Needles racetrack over there, and I off of Victoria there. And, you know, they do these things, and they put these projects up. They put them cameras up. They put some lights there at Victoria and West Forest and that. So people don't want to wait. So now they cut through my street, you know, and they drive like asshats on my street. And the number one complaint, my neighbor has a house for sale, is that the street's too busy. It used to be a quiet street. Now it's like the Indy 500 there, you know. So everybody pays the price for something.
John, it's great points made all around. And something else we talked about earlier when we brought this issue up, it seems to be a solution in search of a problem. And then what is the ripple effect of that solution in search of a problem? Well, maybe John's neighborhood or another neighborhood gets busier because of it. And just talking again about looking out for one's self. When we were in Kelowna the other week, and Josh Piercy and I did a lot of walking around, and at one point saw a driver go by, a younger gentleman, and he was wearing a hoodie, but his hood was up. Now, I don't know about you, but this past winter, which was pretty brutal, there were a couple of occasions where I put my hood up over top of my toque even because I was trying to shelter from the cold while I was out walking Rosie the pandemic pup. She's a husky. She's fine. So I tell myself. But it was uncomfortable weather, so I put my hood up, and about 5 minutes later, I would take it down because it closes off so much of your peripheral vision. So what kind of jackwagon gets behind the wheel of a 2,000-pound automobile and puts their hood up? Like, what are you doing? Do you not want to see peripherally while you're operating that 2,000-pound automobile? What are we doing? I will ask you again. Maybe Rory knows. Rory's a pretty smart guy. Rory's on Talkback. Good afternoon, my friend.
Champions, baby.
Champions, baby. How about those Rangers, eh?
Oh, Mike, you know, I've always been a soccer guy growing up. One day I'll tell you a story about my hockey experience. I think you'll get a good laugh out of it. But, man, those Rangers, I mean, how could you not watch? You know, my sleeping pattern now has been reprogrammed to West Coast time now, Mike. Tuning into the Cup, but wow, what a run! And you know, I know we call them the Kitchener Rangers, but quite frankly, they're the Waterloo Region Rangers in my book because they've certainly brought the entire region together in celebration. So fantastic, and look forward to seeing you tonight.
Oh, good! You're going to be able to make it by for the launch?
Wouldn't miss it, Mike.
Fantastic,
and great to hear you on the radio. You know, on you know, when it comes to road safety, Mike, I look at road safety as preventing tomorrow, not looking back at data from the past. I think data from the past sometimes doesn't give the whole picture. And I was in Quebec City earlier this year visiting our friend Bonhomme de Neige, and I found it really interesting at several intersections where all traffic stops for pedestrian traffic to cross before it happens again. And I'm not opposed to pilots. And if I look at an intersection like Fairway Road and Wilson, that's a busy corner, Mike. You know, you got the LRT, you've got the mall, you have all kinds of traffic going on throughout the day. I don't think that's a bad corner to maybe think of when you consider the woman that called previously with the amount of almost that, quite frankly, Mike, don't get counted in the data, the almost. So, you know, I'm actually all for the idea of what they were doing up in Quebec City. We want people to walk and we want pedestrians to be safe. And yes, unfortunately, the data suggests that there's only a few jackwagons out there, but I'd suggest maybe there's a lot more than we know about because quite simply, thankfully, nothing happens. So, you know, I'm interested to see how the pilot goes, Mike. And I hope before, you know, people make their final judgments on it, that they give it a chance and see what happens. But for me, road safety is paramount, Mike. I mean, the email you read earlier about Trussler Road and 7-8. As you know, I've been barking up that tree for years. Unfortunately, it's the Ministry of Transportation that's dragging their feet on that one.
Well, at least we've got a signal in there for now. And Rory, let's continue this at the launch party tonight because I got to run.
Sounds good, my friend.
Okay, bud. Thank you.
Later.
Good to talk to you. And yes, they are the Waterloo Region Rangers. Rory from Wilmot Township. And I want to take this moment to remind you about Saturday in Wilmot. Baden, specifically, Snyder's Road East. That's where you find TSG Kitchen. On Saturday, I'm going to be there from 5 until 7. So perfect dinner time, right? Come to TSG Kitchen on Snyder's Road in Baden on Saturday. Farwell for hire. They're offering up brisket sandwich, pulled pork sandwich, or sweet potato wedges with dip and a drink, pop or water. Minimum donation of $10. Everything being donated back to the Farwell for Hire campaign. So TSG Kitchen on Snyder's Road in Baden on Saturday from 5 until 7. Minimum donation of $10. You're going to get your belly filled. You'll meet the great folks, Ed and Becky at TSG Kitchen, and we're going to raise some money for Farwell for Hire. Saturday, 5 until 7. Our launch party is tonight at Block 3 in St. Jacobs. If you haven't yet got a ticket, we'll find you one at the door. Father and son duo playing the music, village caterer providing the food, $25. And we'll enjoy some conversation, some good time. We'll get the campaign started in fine form. And do not forget those 50-50 raffle tickets. Our jackpot is now over $40,000. That means the take-home prize, more than $20,000. And we're giving away $2,500 cash from TLC Pet Food tomorrow at noon. Get your tickets right now. CF5050.ca. My name is Mike Farwell. You are a force for good. Bye for now.